said this place couldn't break you. That's what she said. Let's see.
You're so strong. You're so strong. Just no. I know. It's all just a dream.
What if all this was designed just to see how we react?
What if this place is trying to torture me?
What if the people these monsters are killing, what if they're all in on it?
What if this is all some kind of fucked up experiment?
What if the answers are out there, maybe we just didn't go out far enough?
What if the answers are out there indeed? And hopefully, with season 3 on the horizon, just a few mere months away, maybe, just maybe, we will be getting some of those answers in this upcoming 3rd season. But welcome one, welcome all, TGIFF this evening. Thank God it is Fromville Friday. Which is a theme I definitely hope to continue over the next few weeks and months while we wait for season 3 to eventually come around and we dive into all things Fromville seasons 1 and 2 to refresh and prep ourselves for this phenomenal upcoming season. And I do have a feeling this season is going to be phenomenal indeed. But welcome everybody. So glad to have everyone here with me this evening on this fine Friday evening. The start to the weekend, just about here. Awesome stuff. Let me scroll up here. Let's see who is joining us this evening before we dive into the festivities. We've got a lot of fun things to talk about tonight. Of course, we will be talking a lot about one of our favorite characters here on this channel, and that is, of course, Jade. And everybody knows why Jade is, of course, one of my favorites.
All right, ding-dongs. It's almost go time. Anybody fucks this up, you spend a night in the box.
And that is because he is the total package when it comes to phenomenal and interesting characters that I look forward to seeing inside TV series, where you think you get this outer exterior of Jade, and you think he's something, and then as the episodes start to progress, the layers start to get peeled back, and we slowly start to see Jade is a little more complex than we originally thought. Overall, I think Jade has had the biggest journey in terms of character development and character change from who he was at the beginning of season 1 to who he is now at the end of season 2, heading into season 3. I feel like his character has changed the most, if not the most, up there among the most. And we're going to talk a little bit about Jade's journey this evening and what exactly Jade is going to be getting up into in season 3. What is the future going to be holding for our pal Jade? That is what we are going to discuss tonight. And of course, there has been some awesome new season 3 set photos, all new season 3 set photos that have been dropping lately. Of course, season 3 of From is wrapping up filming. Each individual character has been wrapping up their final scenes over the last few days and weeks. And Tabitha has officially wrapped up her portion of the filming for From season 3. And there's some really interesting wrap photos that we're going to be taking a look at tonight as well, and see if we can find out any clues about some of these set photos. So should be an interesting one this evening. But first, you know how we do it here. Before we dive into the stuff, we got to say what is up to the awesome chat. Let me scroll up here. Who is in the awesome chat this evening? We got Kiwi Skirt in the house. What is up, Kiwi? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. We got Carrie in the building. What is up, Carrie? Sending love. I love these beautiful people. And I could not echo that sentiment any better myself as well, Carrie. You guys in the chat are what make these streams worth doing. Big love to everybody that takes the time to come and hang out with us for a little bit. It is very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. We got Bill D in the house. What is up, Bill D? Always good to see you as well, my friend. We got Bitey in the building. What is up, Bitey? Welcome, welcome. Howdy. I dropped my phone. A U was sent. It happens. Happens to the best of us, my friend. There it is. There's the lone U, the lonesome U in the chat. It happens. It happens. If I had a nickel for every time I dropped my phone, I probably wouldn't need to work or do YouTube. So you're in good company, my friend. You are in good company. We got Xavier Anderson. What is up, Xavier? Good to see you, my friend. My friend, speaking of good company, all of the awesome people here in this chat this evening, welcome, welcome. We also got Robert Saunders in the house. What is up, Robert? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Let's see who else we got. Let me scroll down. I've been active in Discord, just theorizing, thinking, and looking at drawings. Lots in those drawings. So much is blurry, but a lot's clear. Yeah, I mean, the drawings have been, I think, one of the fascinating parts of From up until this point. I mean, between the Victor drawings, especially between in season 2, finding out that Eloise herself had a few drawings of her own. Interpreting some of these drawings has been incredibly fun to try and figure out, what do these drawings mean? Do they represent things that have happened on the show already? Do they represent things that are going to happen on the show in the future? The Victor drawings and the Eloise drawings have been some of the funnest parts to dive into in terms of throwing on that tinfoil hat and really diving into that rabbit hole like we like to do every once in a while. The drawings provide an infinite source of that, for sure. For sure. We got Lord Ravener in the building. What is up, Lord Ravener? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Awesome, awesome. We got From Fanatic in the building as well. What is up, From Fanatic? Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, indeed. Hello, everyone, indeed. We got Illumined Yet Hottie in the house. What is up, Illumined Yet Hottie? I love that name. A nice, clever twist on the Illuminati, I presume. Very interesting. Very interesting. Name this song, please. Kinda From or Mental. It is, and that was one of our other co-hosts, one of our other partners in crime, Aldous Off the Farm. He makes a lot of the intros that we use for the various streams that we do here on the channel, and that was that one credit. All of that credit goes to Aldous. He found that song. It was I believe it is a cover of the original. Sinnerman, I believe, is the title. If you search Sinnerman cover, you should be able to find it. But yeah, the song just totally fits the theme of From like a glove, and it's been, I mean, we've been using it ever since we started streaming here on the channel, at least ever since we started streaming From. And yeah, something about that song, it just really fits the whole tone and theme of From as a whole. So big shout out to Aldous for finding that song and putting together that intro for us. It's definitely my favorite intro for all of the various shows and intros that we have here on the channel. That's definitely my favorite one. And it's been fun to play it again. We went quite a few months not hearing the From intro for a while, as we were kind of in a holding pattern as the writers and actors strike was happening, not knowing when exactly From season 3 would come around. So for a little while there wasn't any From streams to be had, just because there was really nothing to talk about for a bit. But now we have the teaser, and now that we have the release date, it seems like there has been a whole new breath of life that has been breathed into the From fandom as a whole. And it's been fun to dive back into these things with all of you guys and see what we can see about season 3. And see if we can learn anything new. See if we can learn anything new. Indeed, indeed, indeed. And as I scroll down in the chat and say what is up to everybody, let me pull up a shot here so you guys aren't just looking at a lonely avatar. And this is actually one of the most intriguing new season 3 set photos that I have recently seen. And we're going to talk a little bit about this and all of the other season 3 set photos here in a minute. But look at Tabitha in this shot. Tell me she doesn't look almost demonic. Like, look at those eyes. Black eyes, lifeless eyes, like a doll's eyes. She just looks, man, she looks like she's been through the ringer for one. She got scrapes all over her forehead. Looks like she might be in some sort of elevator or some corner of a room. Doesn't look like she's in Fromville. So we're going to break this down. We're going to talk all about this and all of the other brand spanking new season 3 set photos and see if we can find anything out. But yeah, there it is. Very creepy looking Tabitha right there with a very weird look on her face. What do we make of that? We got Julie Barbara in the house. What is up, Julie? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got D Strand in the house as well. What is up, D Strand? Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got Snuggy Jr. You're so strong, Kenny, says Snuggy Jr. Yeah, we all know who Snuggy wants to be in that barn with Boyd getting tortured. I know in terms of Jim not having a lot of fans in the chat, I know Kenny also doesn't seem to have a whole lot of fans in the chat. There's been a lot of bets going around as to whether or not Kenny will die a virgin or not. So that has been an interesting subplot developing in the chat. Pretty interesting. Yeah, who knows? Maybe it was Kenny. You're so strong, Kenny. You're so strong. Who knows? Who knows? We got Salt in the house as well. Salute. What is up? Good to see you, my friend. Evening all. Evening all indeed. Evening to all. We got Baya Momo in the house. What is up, Momo? Good to see you as well. Welcome back. Always good to see a friendly face in the chat. Hopefully you are also getting ready for From Season 3, which is just a few months away now. Hopefully we can get a mid-September release, but I'm thinking it shouldn't be any later than very early October. The latest is what I'm betting. They definitely probably want From on when Halloween comes around, so they're probably aiming for a window around there. We got Weekend Weakling in the house. What is up, Weekend Weekend? Weekend Weakling. Good to see you. A Tunga attire right there. I like it. I like it. Good to see you as well. We got David Mills in the house. What is up, David Mills? Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Hopefully everybody is having a phenomenal start to their Friday, or start to their weekend, actually, and an end to their Friday, hopefully, depending on what part of the globe you are on. I know our good friend Kiwi is on the other side of the globe, so it's probably not Friday night for her anymore, but probably Saturday morning, I would imagine. So welcome one, welcome all, whatever part of the world you are tuning in from, day, evening, night, morning, welcome, and thank you for spending some time with us this evening. We got DJ in the house. What is up, DJ? Good to see you as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. See Wolf Spear in the house as well. Welcome, Wolf Spear. Good to see you, my friend. I see Henry Bemis. What is up, Henry Bemis? 4 episodes into From Season 2 and thoroughly enjoying it. And that is awesome, Henry. I remember last week you were mentioning that you recently started watching From for the first time, which is so awesome. I'm glad you're getting into it. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I had a feeling it would be a show that you would like. You seem to like a lot of the same things I like, and I had a feeling you would probably get into From as well. So I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. Glad you are enjoying it. 4 episodes in. If you're 4 episodes into Season 2, then you are getting to the exciting stuff about Season 2 pretty soon. Season 2, Episode 6 and Episode 7 are 2 of the most intense episodes in Season 2 in terms of some of the big things that happen. But I won't say anything more than that. I would not dare spoil it for you. But once you get to Season 2, Episode 6, and you see what happens in that episode and the aftermath of it in the following episode, it starts getting pretty fun. So yeah, I think you'll enjoy 6 when you get to it, and it seems like you're getting close. So everybody knows what I mean when I say Episode 6 of Season 2 was a big kind of oh crap moment involving 2 characters, which was pretty interesting to see unfold. So enjoy it, my friend. Hope you're enjoying it. I keep seeing Jade's wristwatch in still photos. Remember the episode when they talked about his expensive watch? I think Jade has some connection to the different time periods that are suggested. That's very interesting, Michael DJ, and welcome, Michael DJ, as well. Yeah, they do tend to show Jade's watch in frame quite often. Now, I'm not, it's hard to tell on a show like this if they're showing you something repeatedly because they want the audience to see it. They want the audience to make note that this character has a watch and it's going to come into play at some time. Or is it one of those things that just is a coincidence, or even a little bit more than that, maybe a red herring to intentionally throw us off? And that's what's so fun about From for me as a viewer. And that's why I talk about when From challenges me as a viewer, that's what I mean. It throws so much stuff at you, and you have to kind of decipher, okay, what is going to be important to the story overall? What is something that is just coincidence? Are we just seeing things through the clouds sometimes? And what stuff are they throwing in there that is intentionally throwing us off? And trying to decipher the difference between those things, that's some of the funnest parts of From for me. And it's definitely very challenging. And I like being challenged every once in a while, watching a show. Give me a riddle to solve. Give me something tough. We got Leah Bradley in the house. What is up, Leah? Good to see you as well, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Indeed. See who else I got. If I missed anybody, I am terribly sorry. StreamYard tends to jump on me every once in a while, but welcome one, welcome all. It is so glad to have all of you here. I couldn't have picked a better time to have found this show. Just finished both seasons, and then the trailer dropped, and now I actually have people to talk about this phenomenal show. Yeah, that's what's some of the greatest things about From, especially if you're just getting into From recently. And yeah, you can kind of get through season 1, season 2 pretty quick, and then boom, season 3 is right around the corner. It must be pretty exciting because you're kind of taking it all in right at once. But yeah, I hope you're enjoying it, and it seems like you have been enjoying it, Julie. So yeah, I'm glad that you found us. Welcome to the Fromily, as it were. The more the merrier. Everybody is welcome here. You guys know that. You are all welcome. Kenny gonna get that bow bun. See, all right. So not everybody thinks Kenny's going to die a virgin. Dark Elf is on Kenny's side at least. Okay, so you're not alone, Kenny. Okay, you're not alone. Not my Kenny. Poor Kenny can't catch a freaking break. Okay, so see, Kenny's getting some love in the chat. All right, see, Kenny, you're not completely alone. You got some support. There it is. I like it. I like it. I thought I was the only one that was supporting Jim, and I think I might be. I know everybody hates Jim, but I still have faith in Jim that he will come through and save the day in some way. Or who knows, maybe he'll end up getting strung upside down in that tower and be useless. Who knows? Maybe you guys are right. Who knows? Hey, Fromily, hope you're all well. Welcome, Justin. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Kenny had the leaked dialogue. You worry too much. We'll be right back. D-E-D. That is right, Ravener. Yeah, I keep forgetting about that. That's right. From the MGM Plus account on Twitter, released a still a little bit before the trailer released, and it seemed to be active dialogue from season 3, Kenny dialogue, and he states exactly that. You worry too much. We'll be right back. And that usually when someone says that in a horror film or series, that means they're dead. So yeah, who knows? Who knows? We got Michael Bancroft in the house. What is up, Mike? Good to see you. Yo, I finally started Shogun. Awesome, my friend. Awesome indeed. And I guess now is apparently a good time to get into Shogun. We recently just finished covering Shogun here on the channel. It has been so fun talking about that show. And now we are getting some very unexpected news that we certainly didn't think we were going to be getting. That not only is Shogun going to be returning for a season 2, but it is going to be returning for a season 3 as well. We have 2 more seasons of Shogun on the way. And I mean, I have mixed feelings about that. We'll talk a little bit more about Shogun tomorrow night on our Saturday night show. So anybody who is a Shogun fan, definitely come back tomorrow night and hang out with us for the Saturday night show. And we'll dive into all of the latest Shogun developments. But yeah, mixed feelings on Shogun coming back for 2 seasons. It's mixed feelings. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Carrie says, Kenny will make it to the end. He will become a vessel as well, or on. My ending theory, has a story about Essence being in clothes and hairbrushes. Kenny got new clothes. He's about to be a... Okay, he's about to be a different character, says Carrie. Interesting. That's pretty interesting. And yeah, when I try to think about what characters I think are going to make it to the end, I try to separate who I want to make it to the end versus who I think narratively is important enough to merit making it to the end. And that sometimes conflicts for me, just for me personally as a fan, because as a fan, there's certain characters that I really want to last throughout the whole thing, but narrative wise, I know some of these characters are starting to get killed off at some point, if not this season, in future seasons. Not everybody is going to make it to the end in a show like this. With a show like this, given the nature of this show, the danger that they're always in, you have to imagine a good portion of the original characters that started off in season 1, and even some of the newer ones at the beginning of season 2, like Elgin and some of the other new characters. You have to imagine a good portion of these characters probably won't be around when the final season or final episode comes around. Not everybody is going to make it to the end there. But someone like Kenny, it's hard. I feel like Kenny's in one of those in-between places where I could totally see Kenny making it all the way to the end. But on the other hand, I could totally see Kenny being killed off in the next episode as well. He's one of those characters where I'm not quite sure where they're going with his story. Characters like Victor and Ethan and Boyd, obviously these characters, I have a feeling they're going to be around for a while. Jade as well. I think Jade is one of the most important characters to the narrative going forward. Not only is he a favorite character of mine, but I do genuinely believe that Jade is going to be vital when it comes to solving some of these mysteries as a whole, whether it's the mystery of the symbol, the Anui children. I get the feeling Jade is going to be at the center of solving some of these mysteries. So I do get the feeling the characters like Jade, the Victors, the Boyds, the Tabithas. Tabitha is another one that I have a feeling will probably survive to the end. Some of these characters, I get the feeling they're going to be there to the end. But characters like Victor, I worry about Victor. I worry about Ethan. I worry about Elgin and Fatima all the time. I really get the feeling at least one of them won't make it out of season 3, either Elgin or Fatima. I'm really worried about their characters. So there's quite a few that I have a feeling will not make it to the end. But I guess that's a good way to start the questions off this evening. Let us know down in the chat. Coming into season 3, when you think about all of the main characters, who do you think is going to be the first big character that is killed off? If not in season 3, maybe in season 4. But who do you think will be the next main character that gets killed off? I'd love to know what you guys think. Who do you think is on the chopping block? Is always a fun discussion. I think the writers have taken enough from Kenny, and to kill him off would just be literal overkill. That's a good point. I mean, he's been through so much hardship as a character. Losing his father, finding out that Sarah had a hand in it. He's been dealt some blows. His fallout with Boyd, who was pretty much his father figure after he lost his own father. Kenny's been hit with a lot of emotional blows. And yeah, characters like that, you tend to think they've been hit with so much stuff already. Killing them off would kind of almost be overkill. So I see that point of view. I understand that. And it makes sense. Makes sense. Who makes it to the end? Julie, Ethan, Tabby, Jade, Boyd Ellis, Fatima escape. Donna and Victor decide to stay. Jim sacrifices himself to save his family, but he'll still be stuck. Oof. Now, I do get the feeling Jim is headed for some heroic sacrifice. I definitely agree with you there, Snuggie. I know quite a few of you guys have thought maybe Jim is heading for some kind of heroic sacrifice where he'll probably die saving his family, or maybe die saving Victor. For something, I have a feeling Jim dying saving Victor would be one of the most kind of ironic choices in the end, just considering where Jim and Victor started off as characters, where Jim very much hated Victor, didn't trust him, didn't want him around his kid and all that. So I think it would just be a very interesting twist of fate and a good sign of character growth on Jim's part if, in the end, when all things were said and done, Jim had to kind of sacrifice himself for Victor, of all people. It would just be kind of, again, an ironic twist of fate, I guess you could say, for Jim's character, considering where he started. But yeah, no, I like that, Snug. I like that. I feel like Tabitha will definitely investigate where she is. Absolutely. I have a feeling, and I really hope we find out where Tabitha is super early on in season 2. I know in season 3, excuse me. I know that's been one of the things that we've talked about here in the past. Like, when exactly are we going to find out where Tabitha is? What happened to her? Because if we remember back to the beginning of season 2, we didn't find out what happened to Sarah until episode 4, if you guys remember. Obviously, when season 1 ended, one of the biggest question marks were, where did Sarah end up? We saw Boyd went through the faraway tree and ended up in the shaft where he met Martin. But we were all wondering, okay, it seems like Sarah went through that same tree. Where did Sarah end up? And if you guys remember, we didn't find out anything about Sarah until episode 4. They kind of dragged it out a little bit. So I'm wondering if they might do something similar with Tabitha's character, with there being such a big question surrounding where Tabitha went, what happened to her, is she in the real world, is she in some other part of Fromville? I wouldn't be too surprised if we don't see her until like episode 3 or 4, if they go a similar route like they did with the Sarah thing, and they kind of drag out the Tabitha reveal until episode 3 or 4. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but I wouldn't be too surprised if it did happen, I guess is what I'm saying. But yeah, Tabitha definitely needs to investigate and find out just what exactly is happening to her. Where is she? How did she get here? All of that. And we do have some leaked photos of the set for Tabitha in season 3 that does show her out on a street. And it looks like she is near a car even. Let me see. I think I have these right here. Not too far. Not too far. I think I have these Tabitha leaked photos. Yeah, here we go. There we go. Here we have some leaked photos, and we see a car right here on the side of a street, and we also see another shot of what appears to be Tabitha and an unknown character next to Tabitha. This looks to be Tabitha here in the middle. This looks like Jack Bender, one of the known directors for From. This looks like the showrunner himself. And this looks like Tabitha right here, surrounded by tons of extras and crew members, obviously. But in terms of the ones that are in costume that might actually be filming scenes, it looks like Tabitha and the person standing right next to her. Looks like these two characters could potentially be filming some sort of scenes. And it looks like on the outset, they are in some portion, some part of the real world. And I get the feeling Tabitha is in the real world. I know that's been a debate as well. Is she in the real world? Is she in some other part of Fromville? I get the feeling she is in the real world. And I think a big part of her story going forward is going to be trying to figure out how she ended up here, and obviously trying to find a way back to rescue her family. And I do think that is where Victor's sister and the lunchbox is going to come in. I know we've talked about this multiple times on the channel in the past, but in case anyone hasn't heard, obviously Tabitha ended season 2 off with Victor's lunchbox in her possession. She had it strapped to her when she went out of the lighthouse. So there's a good possibility that Tabitha has that lunchbox when she ended up wherever she ended up. And if that is the case, I get the feeling that lunchbox is going to be a catalyst of sorts that could potentially bring Eloise, Victor's sister, and Tabitha together. Because it seems like Eloise, Victor's sister, also potentially might have made it out of Fromville as well. We're not 100% sure on that. Some of the evidence suggests she might have made it out. Some of it suggests maybe she didn't. All we know is that she disappeared from the town and she never returned. So I get the feeling Victor's sister did make it out. I get the feeling Victor's mother sacrificed herself to get to get her daughter out. Victor famously says that he found his mother dead next to the faraway tree, and I get the feeling something like that happened. Maybe something was happening and only one of them had enough time to get out, and Victor's mother sacrificed herself in order to get Eloise out. So I really hope we see Eloise and Tabitha team up in some sort of way in season 3, so they can both maybe find a way to get back to Fromville to rescue their prospective families. But who knows? That's just a wild tinfoil theory of ours. But there's Tabitha right there, filming some season 3 scenes. And I wonder what's going on. It looks like she's filming some scenes out there in the street. Could it be connected to this car here? It could be, because here we see Jack Bender, the same director, with the very same sweatshirt on. So it looks like these all are one scene. I wouldn't be surprised if this is an interior car scene with Tabitha and whoever she was standing with there. But a lot of intriguing stuff going on for the filming of season 3. We got a lot to dissect and dive into. But yeah, Tabitha, man, one of the biggest question marks. Definitely one of the biggest question marks. Where is Tabitha? There was also this season 3 wrap photo that recently released as well. Now, obviously, this is Tabitha and Victor inside the on the stairs inside Colony House. If you guys remember the Colony House massacre, these were the stairs that Smiley was standing above, and kind of with the blood was dripping down on Dale, and Dale was sitting right around in the same spot. So here we do see Tabitha and Victor in Colony House. Now, this could just be set photos of them celebrating. This doesn't necessarily mean that Tabitha does make it back to From in season 3. But I guess that's another big question as well that I would propose to the chat as well. Do you guys think Tabitha is going to make it back into Fromville, into the town in season 3? Or do you think Tabitha finding her way back to her family is an arc that is going to potentially take multiple seasons? That's one thing I kind of keep going back and forth on. You think about the vision that Tabitha had in season 1, the vision of her visiting the tower for the first time, seeing Jim strung upside down at the top of the tower. But the other part of that vision, I think, is just as interesting. I know a lot of you guys have pointed this out as well. The beginning part of her vision, it seems like she's walking in the streets of Fromville. Not seems like, she is. We see the sheriff station in the background. There's one shot where we can kind of see Boyd's box. It seems like Tabitha is walking in the streets of Fromville at the beginning of that vision. And a lot of you have thought, and I 100% agree, that this definitely could be a possibility, that could potentially be a vision of the future or some kind of premonition of when Tabitha does eventually get back into Fromville. And I just thought that was a very interesting theory, and it definitely kind of fits considering where Tabitha's story is. But yeah, sound off in the comment section. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Tabitha will make it back into Fromville in season 3? Or do you think she might not make it back into the town at all this season? Where do you think Tabitha is going ultimately? Will she make it back to the town this year or not? What if Ethan is the only one to make it to the end and replace Victor? That's been another very interesting theory as well, because Victor and Ethan's stories seem to be paralleling each other so much in terms of everything that Victor went through. Ethan seems to be going through similar, so much to the same point where even Ethan's mother, Tabitha, is going down pretty much the same trajectory that Victor's mother went down as well, trying to rescue the Anui children, trying to find a way out and all that. Tabitha and Victor's mother's stories wildly parallel each other as well. So that's been a very interesting theory, to think that maybe Ethan might end up as the next Victor at one point. Maybe this whole thing will end with everybody dead and only Ethan stuck in the town, kind of restarting the cycle that started with Victor all those years earlier. It would be a very tragic and bittersweet ending, probably more bitter than sweet, but it would make for an interesting twist, I guess. Make for an interesting twist. Jade will definitely not die. Don't want to jinx it. He is my favorite. I'm right there with you. I am right there with you for sure. Hopefully Jim, my Christmas wish, says Star. Yeah, Jim's not a big fan favorite in these parts, which is cool. Totally cool. Poor Jim, man. He gets a lot of hate. If they kill Fatima, that would not only break Boyd, but Ellis as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. And especially when we look at that season 3 trailer that we did get, where it seems like that scene is specifically designed not to kill Boyd, but to break Boyd. If they wanted to kill Boyd, they have multiple opportunities to do it. He's incredibly vulnerable. At one point, it seems like the monsters literally have him tied with his hands behind his back, tied to the post inside the barn. So if all the monsters wanted to do was kill Boyd, they could have done it easily. So it seems like that scene is kind of specifically designed to break Boyd, not necessarily kill him. And yeah, what exactly would break Boyd the most? I have a feeling either Ellis's death or, yes, Fatima's death with the death of his unborn grandchild. Those are probably the two things that would break Boyd the most. There's plenty of other things that would break Boyd. I think if Kenny died in front of Boyd, that would really break him. If Sarah died in front of Boyd, I think that would probably break him as well. But in terms of what would break him the most, what would be the hardest for him to come back from, definitely Ellis or Fatima. The familial ties make it that much more kind of tense, especially considering Boyd's past, the family he's already lost, knowing he had to kill his own wife to save his son. It's, that familial ties probably mean the world to Boyd. So losing Fatima or Ellis would probably be the biggest hit, in terms of breaking him anyway. But let's see what you guys are saying. Will Tabitha make it back into Fromville? Let me see. Where did I end up? Tabby won't be back in season 3, says Leah. So, all right, Leah thinking Tabitha won't be back in season 3. Awesome. I think we're like, I think season 2 ending whereby new people showed up in town. I think season 2 will end with Tabby returning to town with new people, including Eloise. Okay, so you think season 3 might end with Tabitha and Eloise both coming back into Fromville? That could be pretty interesting. I'd like to see that. I would definitely like to see that. Yeah, I think Tabby does make it back to town because she comes back with cuts on her still. And yeah, again, that's one of the things that you see in that photo, right? Like if you look at the photo and you look at her face in particular, she's got a bunch of cuts on her forehead and stuff. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, here we got some. I think I got a better one here. There we go. This one's a little bit cleaner. There we go. Here we can clearly see, yeah, we got some cuts here under her eye. We got a cut on her forehead, another cut on her forehead. It looks like she's been through a little bit of the ringer. Now, could these just be the wounds that she sustained at the end of season 2 just healing a little bit? Because they don't look too fresh. These wounds do look like they are, halfway to healing. So these could potentially just be the wounds that she sustained when she fell out of the tower at the end of season 2. If we remember, when she wakes up in the hospital bed, she does have a few cuts and bruises on her forehead. So that could just be her healing up there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if she makes it back into From in season 3. Is she actually going to make it back into town? Or is she going to have a longer journey than we thought getting back to the town? That's what I'm looking forward to finding out. You see the boy in white with Tabitha in the hospital. Might she have gone into a dungeon the way Boyd did when he found Martin? It could be a mindfuck. Very well could be a possibility. Yeah, absolutely. Because, we do have these shots as well of the boy in white in the same hospital bed, or it looks like the same hospital bed that Tabitha wakes up in at the end of season 2. Here we go. Here we have the boy in white, and yeah, it looks like he is in the same hospital room, the same bed that Tabitha was in. Now, again, what do these scenes mean? Does this mean the boy in white is going to show up wherever Tabitha is, wherever she ended up, whether it's the real world, whether it's another part of Fromville, or, like you said, some kind of weird mind fuck place that similar to how Boyd ended up? Because again, Boyd ended up in that weird dungeon, and the only way he could access it is if he had that flame from that torch on to go back to it. Otherwise, every time he returned to it, it was just a ruin. So there's definitely some weird mind trippy things happening here in Fromville. I feel like that much is definitely clear. So yeah, who knows? Maybe this could be one big kind of hallucination from Tabitha as well. That is definitely a possibility for sure. I like that. I think it'll take time because once the portal that takes her back is established and she's trying to bring people back will be in season 4. I mean, part of me thinks she might not make it back in season 3 as well. It just seems like it might be a little too quick. As much as I want to see her kind of reunite with Eloise and get back into the town, maybe her coming back into Fromville as early as the end of season 3, maybe it's a little too soon. So I definitely could see them maybe stretching that out a little bit to season 4. I feel like that's definitely a possibility for sure. Tabitha will return to her mom, and her mom will recognize the lunchbox. She's Tabitha's mom. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of weird twist, trippy stuff that's going on there. Obviously, the Tabitha bracelet brought up a huge question mark last year in season 2 when we saw the flashback of Victor's mother wearing that same bracelet. So yeah, who knows? Yeah, you could be onto something there, Taryn. I like it. I still think that the Red Cave monster, Big Bad, will try to possess Jade. Yeah, we have not really seen what the representation for that red symbol is. We've seen the other symbol multiple times at this point. We know that symbol is clearly tied to Jade and his storyline. And at the end of season 2, we find out that that symbol is also kind of tied to the Anui children as well. But in terms of the other symbol, the big red kind of Cthulhu-like symbol, yeah, we haven't really seen anything about that one. We haven't seen it in any other places. We haven't seen that symbol slapped on anything else. No one's having visions of that symbol yet, anyway, that we know of. So yeah, we need to find out a little bit more about the red symbol. We're getting plenty of info and kind of, appearances of the other symbol, the root symbol that Jade keeps seeing. But in terms of that red, weird squid Cthulhu-like symbol, yeah, we haven't seen it anywhere else. So it's going to be interesting to see what that thing means and what it's going to be. It's going to take Tabby much longer to make it back, maybe season 4, or even 5. Again, yeah, who knows? Maybe they could stretch it out indefinitely. We're not 100% sure how many seasons they're going to end up doing. Hopefully they get as many seasons as they possibly need to tell the story properly. But yeah, maybe she doesn't come back in season 3 or 4. Maybe. Yes, Robert, seems like Tabby finding her way back would be a big answer how to get back in. Absolutely. Again, and yeah, maybe is that too big of a spoiler to reveal in season 3, maybe even is the question. Because, yeah, that's a good point, Bill D. and Robert. If Tabitha does find a way back into Fromville in season 3, then technically she kind of has a way to get out and come back in. If she can kind of remember how she got out in the first place, if, diving out of that tower is indeed some kind of portal or doorway out of From, would Tabitha coming back into From in season 3 almost be answering too many things, giving people a way right back out, maybe? So that's an interesting thought. Good thought. I doubt she comes back in season 3. If she does, it's the last episode. I think that's, if it does happen in season 3, yes, I tend to agree. If it happens at all in season 3, it probably won't be till the very, very end, if at all. Yeah. Bus driver will die by episode 3, says Carrie. Oh, no, not Bacta. Please, not Bacta. Bacta is one of those characters that I'm actually really looking forward to kind of learning a little bit more about. We got some very cryptic and mysterious info about Bacta in season 1. Seems like she's going through some kind of personal stuff at the same time she ended up here in Fromville. And that was another theme that started to develop pretty early on as well, where a lot of the characters that ended up here seem to be going through something in their personal life when they ended up here. Most of them, not all of them. Jade was celebrating for the most part, so not everybody was going through some sort of trauma, but a lot of the characters were going through some sort of trauma when they arrived here. And could that be tied to why they're here in the first place? Who knows? But yeah, I hope we learn a little bit more about Bacta. She, of course, famously was the only one that had heard of that weird nursery rhyme that was popping up in season 2, a nursery rhyme that apparently her grandmother used to tell to her. So it seems like Bacta is going to have I get the feeling she's going to have some weird, strange connection to this place that's going to be revealed at some point in season 3. But hopefully she doesn't get killed off. I think she's a cool character with some layers that need to be peeled back still. But who knows? Evening, Tyler. Welcome. Good to see you. David Mills says Ethan going to end up Walt tall if show goes on long. So I'm thinking not. That I feel like he's already getting there. Here we have Ethan in season 1. And that's another thing. We've talked about that on the show in the past, where it's not just Ethan, but the actor playing the boy in white as well, where the production is going to run into problems every once in a while in terms of these child actors aging at a rate that is too quick for the show's story, for the show's narrative. And usually when stuff like that happens, you tend to see one of two things happen. Either they get recast, or the writers will write in some sort of time jump to kind of make up the difference so it makes more sense. But yes, if we look at Ethan here in season 1, and if we look at Ethan here in season 3, he's practically looking like a freaking teenager now. The kid has grown up so much, and that's the thing with hiring child actors, especially actors at the age of Ethan and the boy in white. They're at that age where every year they just start growing like freaking weeds. Like, this is where these kids start to hit their growth spurts. They start to grow like crazy over the summer. So it's one of those risk factors when you start to cast main characters that are child actors. It's one of those things where at one point the kid's going to continue to grow up, and the way that time has been progressing inside From, it seems like the entirety of the events of season 2 took place right within like a 2-week time period. Not a whole lot of time has passed since the Matthews family first arrived in town, seemingly anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Will they write in some kind of time jump at some point, or will they just go with it? Who knows? But yeah, here we can see the difference. Very young Ethan in season 1, and here we see Ethan filming in season 3. It looks like he's aged 5 years practically. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what happens with that. Will they write in some kind of time jump? Writing in some kind of time jump, although I really don't like time jumps myself personally, I really, really hope season 3 starts off right where season 2 ended. And it seems like it's going to for the most part, considering some of the evidence that we're seeing from some of the season 3 set photos. But at some point in season 3, maybe not at the very beginning, maybe midway, maybe halfway through season 3, could we potentially see some kind of time jump? I could see it solving multiple problems on the show. One, obviously, not only would it solve the problem of Ethan aging, but it would also kind of solve the problem of having to wait 9 months for Fatima's pregnancy to mature as well. If they're planning on doing something with Fatima's pregnancy in season 3, which I get the feeling they are, and that's if it's a normal pregnancy. Fatima's pregnancy might progress quicker than a normal pregnancy if there's some weird kind of supernatural stuff going on with Fatima, which there potentially could be given the foreshadowing we've been getting. But even if not, even if they are needing 9 months for Fatima's pregnancy to come to term, to kind of bring that into the storyline, a time jump could be another reason that they could kind of neatly work that into play. So although I'm really hoping we don't get a time jump, I wouldn't be too surprised if we got one maybe midway through season 3. Wouldn't be too much of a surprise, I guess. Jade has to move more suspenseful scenes before he gets out of the caves. Yeah, and that was one thing I think, yeah, we talked a little bit about that as well, and I definitely tend to agree. Whereas the answer that we got at the end of season 2, at least the answer concerning Jade down there in those caves regarding the weird symbol, it's not that it was anticlimactic, I want to say, but it just wasn't as revealing as I hoped it would be, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Whereas we have heard from the writers and the creators of From, and they have said that Jade will find something down there in those caves that will help him solve the mystery of that symbol. And I feel like we didn't get that at the end of season 2. Maybe we still will get that in season 3 or 4. But yeah, in terms of the reveal that we got at the end of season 2, it was interesting to see that the symbol is connected in some way to the Anui children. But that scene really only raised more questions than answers, at least. Because now we're wondering, okay, what the heck was going on? What was happening to these kids? Was it some kind of experiment? Was it some kind of sacrifice of some sort? Were they opening some kind of portal? What exactly is the connection to the symbol to the Anui children? It just, as cool of a reveal as that scene was, it kind of presented more questions than answers. So hopefully we find out a little bit more about Jade and the symbol, maybe even before he leaves the cave. Because, yeah, like you said, Ravener, Jade is still down there in those caves when season 2 ends. The last time we see season 2 Jade, he is still down there in those caves. So who knows? If season 3 starts off right where 2 ended, maybe we could potentially see Jade in the caves when season 3 starts. That could be pretty interesting. I hope that's what happens anyway. I guess we shall see. Blast from the Past says, Jim is a hero. Same as everyone in the show. He's a scared husband and father trying to save the people he loves. Absolutely. And I definitely get that kind of that flawed hero sense from Jim as well. That's why I don't really hate Jim. I know Jim, it's kind of turned into a meme at this point, where I don't think people really, really just hate and despise Jim. I think maybe some do, but it's become more of a meme at this point where Jim has become kind of the butt end of a lot of the jokes. But at the end of the day, I do think Jim is trying his best. Like you said, he's a father. He's in an impossible situation trying to keep his family safe in this foreign and strange land filled with threats. So I do think Jim is going to come into his own at some point. I do think he's going to be useful to the overall plot. And yes, I do think he's going to be vital in protecting his family as well. So I haven't given up on Jim yet. I haven't completely given up on Jim, for sure. Boyd is the next Martin. Oof, now that could be very interesting. Boyd becoming the next Martin. Yeah, if Ethan ends up becoming the next Victor, like if there is some potential kind of loop cycle thing happening here where maybe it's some kind of pseudo version of history repeating over and over and over again. If Ethan does become the next quote unquote Victor, yeah, does that mean Boyd becomes the next Martin? Very interesting. We know that Jade is definitely kind of mirroring Christopher's trajectory. It seems like Christopher was kind of plagued with the same symbols that Jade is now seeing, and we're not exactly sure what happened to Christopher in the long run, but it seems like he might have maybe went mad or been corrupted at some point along the way, because we hear Victor's mother tell Victor, go and hide somewhere where Christopher can't find you, seemingly making us think as the audience that Christopher was some kind of threat. And it seems like Jade is going down a similar trajectory right now. We have a 199 super sticker from Catherine Lopez. Thank you so much, Catherine, for the 199 super sticker. That is so generous of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anytime we see a super sticker or anything of that kind here on the channel, that person always deserves a whoa. Whoa! And it looks like that is not it. It looks like we have Robert Saunders gifting 5 memberships. Wow, thank you so much, Robert Saunders, for the gift of 5 memberships, my friend. Thank you. And it looks like Robert Saunders himself was gifted a membership. Percy Garcia was gifted a membership. Wolf Spear, Laura Butler, EFFML as well was gifted a membership. Welcome one, welcome all. So glad to have each and every one of you here. And thank you, Robert, for the gift of the 5 memberships. You also deserve a whoa, my friend. Cover your ears, chat. Whoa! Woes all around. Thank you, guys. Very much appreciate that. Very much appreciated. Bill D says, the monsters may want to make Boyd a monster. Interesting. Okay, Bill. That would be crazy, seeing him walk outside, calling his old friends. That would drive his former friends emotionally insane and his face going monster. That would be nuts. In terms of, like you said, emotional baggage, emotional damage, what that would do to Kenny, what that would do to Ellis, what that would do to so many characters inside Fromville. If Boyd did somehow become a monster, oof, yeah, that'd be nuts. That would be freaking nuts. Yeah, that'd be, I could just imagine that. Imagine Boyd just kind of going monster face out of nowhere, like Smiley and the rest of them. That would be insane. Oh, and it looks like we have another gifted membership from the awesome Dana Marie. Not 1, but 2 gifted memberships from Dana Marie. Thank you so much, Dana, for the gifted memberships, my friend. Looks like Xavier Anderson is now a member. And our good pal, Ray Tabitha Titte's Barnes is also now a member. Welcome, Ray Barnes. Welcome, everybody. So glad to have all of you here. And thank you so much, Dana, for the gift of the memberships. That definitely deserves a whoa and some whoa! For good measure here. Get some glitter for good measure. There it is. There's the glitter. Uh-oh, and it looks like we are not done yet. The awesome, wonderful Kiwi Skirt has also just gifted 5 memberships. Wow, thank you so much, Kiwi Skirt, for the gift of 5 memberships. That is incredibly generous of you. You guys are incredibly generous tonight. Wow, thank you. Looks like Scarlett is now a member. Steph is now a member. Jeremiah is now a member. Aldous is now a member. And Griff is also now a member. Thank you, one. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Kiwi Skirt, for the gift of the 5 memberships. And welcome everybody to the channel. Anyone who is a member, of course, we have a ton of custom From themed emojis in the chat. So be free to use any and all of them anytime you guys want. But thank you so much, Kiwi Skirt. You also deserve a whoa, my friend. Whoa! A whoa and a glitter bomb. That's some glitter worthy. Yes. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Very generous. Very, very generous. Holy cow. Jesus, guys. Wolf Spear for 5 gifted memberships. Wow. Thank you so much, Wolf Spear. You guys are just... Again, the generosity is incredibly overwhelming at times. You guys are so supportive of the channel. I can't thank you guys enough. You guys really are the freaking best. This is why the From community is my favorite community, bar none. There's so many great shows and movies and stuff that I love talking about here on the channel, all with great fandoms. But for me, the From fandom, you guys are just, it's where I have the most fun, I must say. You guys really are the best. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, Juan Solar is now a member. D Strand is now a member. Chris Wiz is now a member. From Fanatic is now a member. And Laura Butler is also now a member. Welcome one. Welcome all. And that definitely deserves a whoa. Whoa! Whoa and a glitter bomb up. And it looks like we're still not done. My pal, my buddy, my partner in crime, Snuggie Jr., also gifting a membership. Thank you so much, Snuggie. And it looks like Emily Rose Riley is also now a member. Welcome, welcome all. Thank you so much, Snug, for the gifted memberships. You guys really are the best. I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless here.
All right, ding-dongs. It's almost go time. Anybody fucks this up, you spend a night in the box.
I don't know what else to say. It's just that was the first thing that came to me. You guys are just incredibly generous tonight. Thank you so much. Wow. Man, geez. Incredibly generous. Wow. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Let me find my spot back in the chat now. Let's see where I left off. You guys killing it this evening. And you guys have always been so supportive. I really can't thank all of you enough for the support you guys show the channel. It is overwhelming at times. We're a very small, very humble channel. We're just fans like the rest of you guys. And to see you guys come out here and spend some of your quality time hanging out with us for a little bit, it really does mean the world to us. It means the world to me in particular. You guys really do make these shows worthwhile. I love getting on here and talking with everybody. It's always a fun time. So thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow. Let's see. All right, let me try and catch up here. Let's see where. Oh my God, I can't catch up yet. Looks like we are not done. The awesome Dana Marie for a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Dana. Wow, incredibly generous of you. As always, Jeremy, thanks for the awesome community, and I can't wait to celebrate my birthday with you and everybody Thursday. Cheers, my favorite YouTuber. Well, thank you so much, Dana Marie. And yes, thank you for reminding me. If anyone is not in Dana, Dana, you are a mod, I believe. So if you can, Dana, throw the link to your YouTube channel in the chat if you can. And yeah, anyone who has not subscribed to Dana Marie's channel, Dana is starting her channel off with her first ever live stream over on her channel on Thursday. I will be there on panel hanging out with her and some other very special guests. So if you guys have not subscribed to Dana already, definitely go over there, give Dana a sub, and come hang out with us this Thursday as she kicks off the brand spanking premiere of her first live stream ever. And I know how nerve-wracking first live streams can be. I still to this day remember the first time I ever did a live stream. I was so freaking nervous. I was up there. I was by myself. I didn't have any co-hosts at that point. And I just went for it, and I just did it. And it was probably one of the worst live streams to date. I boomered the whole thing of it. It was incredibly unprofessional. But it was fun. I still went away from that experience having fun. And that's it. Everybody has their first stream at one point. So I'm looking forward to seeing Dana's. And hopefully you guys come and hang out and support Dana as well. And it looks like Justin White is also become a new member. Thank you so much, Justin. Always good to see you, my friend. Justin is always in the Discord, dropping down some very fun theories pertaining to From and all of the other shows that we cover. So if you guys haven't joined the Discord yet, definitely pop on over there and jump into the Fromville Discord. I do think I have a link. I do. Came prepared, came semi-prepared tonight, ladies and gentlemen, semi-prepared. But there is a link to the Fromville Discord. I will drop it here in the chat. Anyone who has not joined our Discord yet, definitely come by. And if Discord is your thing, if not, totally cool. But we have a Fromville Discord where we talk all things from House of the Dragon, Shogun, all kinds of movies and other shows that we're all into. So if you guys have not joined yet, come join the Fromville Discord. But thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. And yes, From is also one-of-a-kind show. I wish there were more shows like this. It really is. It's one of those one-of-a-kind shows that doesn't come around too often. I know I've said it many times in the past, but I haven't been this invested in solving the mystery of a show since Lost days and Twin Peaks days before that. Those are kind of the only two shows I can think of that hold a candle to this level of intriguing mystery that we're seeing on From. I haven't felt like this since watching Lost and Twin Peaks before that. Like, it's that level of very good, intriguing mystery where you cannot wait to find out the next clue, where this thing is going, how it's going to be solved, who is going to play what part and what. It's again, it challenges you as a viewer, and it's fun to be challenged every once in a while to try and challenge yourself to solve these mysteries. And that's another reason why I really enjoy doing these streams with all of you guys, because it seems like, at least from my standpoint, we try to solve all of these mysteries together as a whole. And that's what makes From so fun. I feel like that's what makes the From fandom a little bit more pleasant than some of the other fandoms out there, because there isn't that kind of that negative energy. There's practically no negative energy in the From fandom. And I cannot thank all of you guys enough for that. That is all largely in part thanks to all of you guys in the chat, in the comment section, commenting on the videos, supporting the videos. All of the comments that we get, they always tend to be of a positive nature. Even when people disagree on a theory, everybody seems to be doing it in a respectful manner. And you don't always get that in every other fandom, unfortunately. That's why I really enjoy the From streams and diving into From probably more than any other show at this point. And it's large part due to the awesome From fans. And that's all of you guys in the chat. You guys are the best. It's a very welcoming community where sometimes communities cannot always be welcoming, but not here. That's one thing we pride ourselves on. Everybody is welcome. We want everybody to share their opinions, good, bad, in between, whether you agree with us, whether you would disagree with us. We want to know what you guys think. Just as much as we like talking about the show, we want to hear what you guys have to say about the show as well. And yeah, that's what makes the fandom probably one of the best fandoms I've ever been a part of, if not the best. So thank you guys. Thank you all for that. Very much appreciate you. Very much appreciate you. But yeah, do not be nervous, Dana. You are going to knock it out of the park. You've been on enough streams as a valuable co-host up until this point that I think you'll do just fine. I think you will do just fine. Indeed. Percy Garcia, I agree. That symbol does look like the Reebok symbol. However, there are 3 different symbols in Christopher's book. They are slightly different, but the lines cross in different ways. That's very true, although we only see that one on the cave wall paintings. But if we look at the book, Christopher's book, that is now Jade's, yes, it looks like there is like 2 or maybe 3 different iterations of that symbol where the lines kind of seemingly go just in different directions, slightly altered versions of the same symbol, it seems like. And I do believe I have that somewhere. I do believe, actually, yes, that is in my Jade folder. Let me pull up my Jade folder and we will take a look at that. Because, yeah, here we go. Here we go. We do see a couple different versions of this weird symbol. And again, it's almost like just different iterations of the same symbol where it's just slightly different here and there. But here we get that vision in season 2 when Christopher appears to Jade while Jade is staying in Tom's bar. And yeah, we see a little bit of a slight differential where it almost looks like these 2 are kind of similar symbols, just maybe inverted a little bit. But this one's a little bit different entirely. Like the lines are just different entirely on this one. So yes, it's weird. We have these different iterations of the same symbol. Now, what exactly does that mean? Are these different meanings entirely? Are they just slight variations of the same symbol? That's one thing we definitely need to find out as well, because yeah, it's not just one symbol we're kind of figuring out here. It's multiple. So that's very true. That is very true, Robert Saunders and Percy. You guys are right about that. From should certainly be more popular. Absolutely. And I feel like, I mean, it started off as a very small kind of niche show. And again, it did premiere on a very, very small network. It wasn't even MGM Plus during season 1. When From first premiered, it was when MGM Plus was still owned by Epix. And Epix was such a small streaming service. There wasn't a whole lot of people that have heard of it. It didn't have the name recognition of a Netflix or an HBO or an Amazon or anything like that. So it was very much a small show, kind of a diamond in the rough show at first during season 1. I remember when season 1 was out, there was practically nobody talking about From. There was a very small handful of people who were talking about From during season 1. It was just such a small show. Just nobody had heard of it yet. But then in between seasons 1 and seasons 2, right before season 2 started, we slowly started to notice the show was getting a little bit more popular. Something happened in between the off season, in between seasons 1 and 2, where the show started to grow exponentially. Not just in the fandom, but we also started noticing, we started noticing a lot other channels were starting to cover From now as well, which was awesome. And that's how you grow shows like this. You want as many people as possible talking about these things. And I definitely feel like we've been on a similar trajectory ever since, especially now that From has recently been made available in the UK on Netflix, which is something that wasn't available prior. And I think that is what hindered From a lot at the beginning as well. It just wasn't available in every country. It was available here. in the States, but there were so many countries that we were finding out didn't have access to From. They were trying to find From any way they could, and they just couldn't find a streaming service that hosted it in their country. So I think that hindered the show's growth a little bit in the beginning, but we're slowly starting to see that From is being made available in more and more countries. So that is great. That is definitely going to help the show grow. I did hear that once it landed on UK Netflix, it was among the top 10 new Netflix shows in the UK, apparently. So that's good. That's definitely a good sign that the fan base is growing, and as more countries and more people have access to it, it'll definitely continue to grow. But yeah, at first, it was and still is, it still very much is the small show that could. It was very much the diamond in the rough show that kind of created a nice kind of cult underground following and grew from there, for sure. But yeah, hopefully it continues to gain in popularity. I need more shows like From so bad. I did just finish Severance, and that was phenomenal. There are a few mystery shows that are this exceptional. Absolutely. I mean, I really, really enjoy mystery shows like this. Every once in a while, it's good to kind of just watch a fun action show that's kind of a little more popcorny, where you don't really have to think so much. You can kind of just sit back and enjoy some good action. That's fun too, every once in a while. But for me, I definitely find myself gravitating towards shows like this more and more, something that is kind of layered in deep, thought-provoking mystery, because there's a difference between mystery shows and good mystery shows. Good mystery shows that actually lay the groundwork well. They are thought-provoking. The narrative makes sense. Shows like that are few and far between these days, unfortunately. But if anyone hasn't seen Twin Peaks, I would definitely recommend Twin Peaks to anyone. If you're waiting for something if you're trying to find something to watch while you wait for season 3 of From to come around, Twin Peaks, I would highly recommend diving into Twin Peaks. It's available on Paramount Plus right now. And in terms of all of the weird mystery aspects that we love about From, all of those themes are present in Twin Peaks. And of course, it's created by the brilliant David Lynch, the master of mystery, the master of obscurity and ambiguity. Anyone who's familiar with David Lynch's work, you know how just genius this guy is at weaving a weird mystery of webs that seemingly goes nowhere and goes everywhere at the same time. David Lynch is one of my favorite directors and writers of all time. So if you guys do like From and you're looking for some kind of mystery to dive into while you wait for season 3, definitely check out Twin Peaks. It is on Paramount Plus. Me too, Jeremy. I watched Lost for the first time in 2021. Oh, wow. It was a blast. I watched this year Wayward Pines. Yeah, Wayward Pines is another one. Very similar concept as From, only seasons 1. Seasons 2 didn't bother to watch. And it does kind of drop off in season 2. Wayward Pines, anyway. When thinking about Wayward Pines, season 1 of Wayward Pines is freaking great. It's such a good season 1 for Wayward Pines. Season 2, it's worth watching, but it's nowhere near as good as the first season. But in terms of kind of weaving similar threads of the same mysteries and story points that we see on From, yes, Wayward Pines has a ton of those same things, indeed. I really liked season 1 of Wayward Pines. I see people talking about sewerage system. If my ending theory is right, their bodily fluids are being consumed. Bodily fluids carries the same essence as our spirits. Interesting. The monsters, I assume you mean? Because yes, we did see the monsters' organs in season 2, and it looks like, according to Christy anyway, Christy seemed to think that they were human at one point, but we saw their organs. They were all shriveled up. They were all dry. Yeah, it looked like you said, Carrie, it almost looked like the fluids were kind of sucked directly out of the organs. So yeah, who knows? Maybe you're onto something. Maybe you are onto something. Maybe you are onto something. I love shows with similar concepts to From, so I enjoyed season 1 of Wayward Pines, but they revealed the truth so early it became just about dystopian society. Yeah, and that is kind of what made season 2 kind of drop off. Season 2 didn't have that same layer of mystery and suspense and intrigue because, like you said, we already knew the answer. We already knew the big mystery, and it was a pretty good reveal. Like when you're watching season 1 of Wayward Pines and you're trying to figure out exactly what this place is, what are these creatures that you hear howling, it's a very good mystery they weave in season 1, but that Wayward Pines is very similar to what's going on with Shogun right now, where when Wayward Pines came out, that was only meant to be a 1-season miniseries. Wayward Pines was never meant to get a season 2, but then the network saw how popular season 1 was, and they just couldn't help themselves. They had to do a season 2, and the quality was severely diminished. And that's something we're seeing happening with Shogun right now, where they told us from day one Shogun would be a 1 season and done. We would not be getting a season 2. And now we're finding out we're getting not only a season 2, but a season 3 of Shogun. So people are a little worried about the quality upkeep, and myself included. It's a little worrisome. But yes, Wayward Pines was only ever meant to be 1 season. So I think that's why they answer all the mysteries as quickly as they do, because they weren't anticipating having a second season. Then they saw the popularity of it, and they just couldn't help themselves. But at that point, like you said, the mystery had already been answered. There wasn't really any other big mysteries to solve. So it really just became a dystopian post-apocalyptic show at that point that wasn't really that intriguing because we already knew all the answers. So very, very good point. Very good point. All right, let me scroll down a little bit. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Love it. Love the interaction tonight, guys. You guys are coming with some awesome, awesome comments, and definitely keep them coming. Anything that you guys want to talk about, whether it's from, let me know. I am here this evening. What do you think Christopher is trying to tell Jade? Is it a design for a new talisman to go to the next level? Any theory? Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. And that's, I got to be honest, that's not something I've really thought of a whole lot of up until this point. So that's a very good question. Kind of catching me off guard here in a moment, but I'll do my best. Yes, what exactly is Christopher trying to tell Jade in this point? Because when you see Christopher appear to Jade, although it's kind of scary, it doesn't seem like it's very threatening. So I think you could be onto something there. I think maybe, yes, maybe Christopher is just trying to tell Jade something, and Jade has yet to be successful to translate it or interpret exactly what Martin is trying to tell him. One thing I did notice, every time we see either Christopher or the symbols appear to Jade, literally every single time Jade sees this symbol appear to him, there is blood involved in some way, shape, or form. Either blood dripping down from the symbol or blood itself creating the symbol like we see on the wall and the roof of the root cellar. Every single time we see Jade have one of these visions, there is always blood associated with the symbol in one form or another. And I've also often wondered what that could potentially mean. Why is there always blood associated with this symbol? Is this symbol a symbol of some kind of sacrifice? Is this some kind of sacrifice, some kind of weird sacrifice ritual that could potentially be tied to what was happening to the Anui children at the end of season 2? Because again, big freaking question mark as to how are these Anui children tied to this symbol in any way? We see them, on these 7 blocks laid up right underneath it, chanting Anui. Each of them look like they were in some sort of trance-like state or some kind of weird trance or vision or something. So what exactly is going on there? Is this symbol vital in creating monsters of some kind? I know a lot of people seem to think the Anui children were going through some sort of transformation that would have turned them into monsters. And is the symbol in some way, shape, or form necessary in order to create monsters? I don't know. I mean, you guys' guess would be as good as mine, but yeah, I'd love to know what everybody else thinks as well. What do you guys think? What do you guys think Christopher is trying to tell Jade? That's a very good question. Very good question. What exactly is Christopher trying to convey to Jade? Is he just trying to scare him? Is this just a tactic to make Jade go crazy? Or is there something more there? Is Christopher actually trying to convey some sort of message to Jade? That's the question I guess we need to ask ourselves, because it seems like Jade is starting to go on the same trajectory as Christopher, where he's kind of going a little bit mad. He's seeing the symbol everywhere. He's starting to see the doll pop up all over the place. The doll is yelling back at him. So what exactly are all these visions trying to do? Are all of these visions trying to make Jade go insane? Or are they trying to convey something to Jade? And I think that's the distinction we need to make. I'm not sure. I feel like at this point we don't have enough information to know what it is definitively. Are these messages of some kind, or are they just tactics in order to get Jade to lose his mind because Jade is such a vital and important character? It seems like there are some characters in this place that maybe Fromville as a whole kind of views certain people as threats. I definitely get the feeling Ethan is some sort of threat. We see multiple attempts for to kind of kill and get rid of Ethan. If you guys remember to the end of season 1, when that storm is first kind of descending on Colony House, Ethan is sitting on the couch inside Colony House. And right as the tower falls over and comes through the window, Ethan gets up a split second before. Had Ethan still been sitting on that couch, that would have killed Ethan instantly. So you almost get the sense that there is some kind of force out there that doesn't want certain characters surviving. And a lot of me thinks back to what happened with Sarah and Toby at the beginning of season 1 when Jade and Toby first arrived in Fromville, where Sarah was clearly being manipulated by these weird voices and being told to kill Toby. But maybe they killed Toby, maybe when they killed Toby, they killed the wrong individual. Maybe they thought Toby was going to be the threat when really it was Jade that ends up being the threat. Maybe the voices got it wrong or didn't convey to Sarah the right message. Maybe some of these characters coming into this town are threats that need to be removed. Because it was always weird the way that Toby was killed and the way that Sarah covered it up and made it look like the monsters killed him. Why exactly kill Toby? Was Toby some sort of threat? Did they need to get him? Did they need to erase him off of the board before Toby kind of became what Jade is becoming now? Or were they just wrong? Maybe Jade ends up being the real threat and they killed the wrong person. So I often wonder what roles some of these characters are going to play going forward, and if maybe some of them have a target on their back, for lack of a better term, because maybe something that is at play here knows that some of these characters are going to be threats at some point down the road in terms of either solving mysteries, finding a way out. Clearly, whatever force is at work here, it doesn't want them leaving. So it stands to reason the characters that are most looking for a way out will probably be the biggest threats to whatever entity is at work here in Fromville, whatever force, whatever power, whatever you want to call it. It seems like there is a consciousness to Fromville itself. There is something not corporeal. It doesn't seem like it has a physical form, but there is some kind of force or presence in Fromville that clearly does not want them to escape. So I wouldn't be too surprised if the characters that are trying to escape just end up painting bigger targets on their back. Because I do get the feeling Jade is going to be vital in solving some of these mysteries, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's just the tin foil talking. Maybe it is just the tin foil talking. Let's see what else you guys are saying. On the Ghoul's Cave wall, it also shows what looks like the sacrificial chambers. My guess is the child sacrifice may power this place on some level, or the evil god that connects it. Interesting. Interesting. So, like, maybe the Anui children were some kind of sacrifice to power this place in some sort. Maybe this place needs some kind of sacrifice in order to keep it going. I mean, I suppose it's possible. It's a very interesting theory. I like it, Tyler. Good stuff. Very good stuff. I like that. Robert says, I agree. Blood and the symbol relate to Victor's mom trying to save the children. End of season 2, however, when Jade sees the symbol in cave, there was no blood. Yes, yeah, you're right. That's the only time there was no actual blood attached to the symbol, when it was the actual roots that were forming the symbol above the Anui children. That might be the only time we don't see any blood near it. So that's a good point, Robert. Very good point. The symbol looks like a merry-go-round. Interesting. Yeah, we do see the merry-go-round very early on in season 1. It seemed to be kind of important to the boy in white. He's playing on the merry-go-round with Victor right after the massacre happened all those years ago. Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's some kind of maybe it's tied to the merry-go-round. You never know. Could be. Do you think somebody stole Jade's technology in the future and he has blood on his hands? Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, we haven't heard a whole lot more about what exactly Jade was working on before he got here. All we know is that he was wildly successful in selling his company that was producing some sort of quantum computer algorithm. But we don't really know a whole lot more than that. He was very successful at it. And he was able to sell it for a fuck ton of money, according to Jade. But how exactly did he accomplish that? Yeah, like you said, how did he? I mean, was he a cutthroat businessman that kind of maybe betrayed people along the way to create what he created? Is there some kind of blood on his hands? Who knows? I mean, I suppose all of that is possible. But yeah, that's one thing the show hasn't really touched on a whole lot since we first learned about it, is exactly what Jade's company was meant for. What was this quantum computer algorithm focused on? What was the basis for it? What was it being applied for? All of these things we just still really don't know. I know that's where a lot of these simulation theories started to come from originally, that maybe it was Jade's technology that created this simulation. Maybe Fromville is one big simulation, and it was Jade's technology that maybe created it. I mean, I suppose that could fit. Who knows? It's just one of those things that we just don't have enough information yet yet, I guess. But yeah, what role is Jade's technology going to play on the show, if at all? You start to think that maybe it could play some kind of role. When you introduce something like that onto a show, you always wonder, is that foreshadowing for something later on down the road, or is that just simple character development to let us know the kind of person that Jade was, that he was this kind of tech guru? It's a little too early to say as to whether or not his technology will play an actual part, or whether that's just part of his character development. I'm not sure. But good question. Christopher is not trying to tell Jade anything. That's the entity playing tricks. Same with Katri, Tom, and Boyd's wife. And again, that's a huge possibility as well. We have seen a lot of these dead characters come back and return. We see Abby popped up all over the place in season 2, and just about every time Abby popped up, it seems like that was definitely the entity. When it comes to Father Katri, that one, again, and Tom, the bartender, those ones I'm kind of 50-50 on. Part of me thinks that very well could just be the entity kind of manipulating these characters into doing whatever the entity's endgame is. Or could this just be all in their head? Was it just Boyd's subconscious manifesting Father Katri in times where he needs a moral compass? It's interesting. I know I kind of go back and forth on that all the time myself, Carrie, and I'd love to know what you guys think as well. When these dead characters do appear to Boyd, to Jade, do you think these are the actual spirits of these characters returning to guide these characters? Could this potentially just all be in their heads, or could this potentially be Fromville playing some kind of trick on them, like Carrie suggests? I think it could be either. I mean, I think where Abby is concerned, every time we saw Abby, that clearly seemed to be the entity trying to play some kind of trick on Boyd, or trying to manipulate Boyd in one way or another. It's the Father Katri and Tom ones that I'm kind of 50-50 on. Were they the entity? Were they something else? I'm not sure. They very well could be the entity, though, Carrie. You could be right. You very well could be right. The boogeyman is a shapeshifter. All the people in the visions are him trying to scare and consume. So maybe it's all just one figure manifesting, looking like different people at different times, but it's all the same figure. That's very interesting as well. That definitely could be the possibility. Of the 4 humors, the one associated with pain is blood. It was in the music box and when Boyd smashed it. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, like maybe it's not exactly Father Katri or Tom or Christopher that's returning. Maybe it is all this one boogeyman entity just taking different shapes at different times, trying to manipulate these characters into one path or another. That's certainly possible. That is definitely possible. I like it. Yeah, maybe it's all just one big mind fuck, and they're just trying to confuse these characters, get into these characters' heads, maybe get them to go down one course of action or the other. Maybe they're trying to manipulate them in some kind of course of action. Very possible. Very possible. Victor certainly does not like that symbol. Yeah, you did get that weird look on Victor's face, didn't we? When Jade first shows the symbol to Victor, and he says, "What do you know about this?" and he asks him about Christopher, Victor instantly gets that kind of worried look on his face. And I definitely get the feeling Victor knows a little bit more about this symbol and a little bit more about Christopher than he's let on. He's told Jade a little bit, but he definitely has not told Jade everything. I am convinced of that. And maybe, who knows, maybe there's even other parts of it that even Victor himself hasn't remembered yet, because we've seen the very unreliable narrator trope that they're playing with in terms of Victor's memory in his minds, deciphering what is dreams and what was actual reality. But no, I like that. I like that. Like how exactly is Victor tied into all of this, and what else does Victor know about this symbol? Because I get the feeling Victor knows something about this symbol, and he definitely knows something about Christopher he hasn't shared yet. That much is clear. If his mother is coming up to him and saying, make sure you hide somewhere where Christopher can't find you, that stands to reason that Christopher was some kind of threat. But what exactly was that threat, and what exactly does Victor know? I get the feeling Victor knows a little bit more than he's letting on about Christopher and the symbol. The smile on Christopher's face is so sinister. I think the entity is using the vision to try and drive Jade insane, as it did to Christopher, and that's definitely another very strong possibility. Yeah, you see that kind of weird little sinister smile right there. It's not like it's exactly a welcoming smile. It does have a little bit more of a sinister kind of creepy smile aspect to it. Like if someone was smiling at me like that, I certainly wouldn't take them as a friendly. I would think they were hostile as fuck, and I'd get away from them. But that's just me. But yeah, it's a little bit of a sinister smile there. I see what you mean, Julie. It's not exactly the friendliest smile. It's a little creepy. Little creepy. And yeah, who knows? Maybe this is all just tactics to try and get Jade to go down a similar trajectory that Christopher went down. And obviously, we know Christopher was plagued with these symbols just like Jade was. But I get the feeling that Christopher was not able to solve the mystery of these symbols, and that had a factor, that played a hand in Christopher potentially going crazy or being able to get manipulated by some other darker force. Christopher clearly, one way or another, became some kind of threat. And I do get the feeling that's because he didn't solve the mystery of the puzzle. And I think I definitely think Jade is going down a similar trajectory as well. I do think if Jade does not solve this puzzle, he stands a very good risk of going down the exact same path that Christopher went down. But I get the feeling Jade is going to solve it where Christopher failed. Christopher failed, but I don't think Jade is going to fail in the long run. I think in the long run, Jade will solve this mystery. But no, I do think they're very similar trajectories for sure. That much seems to be clear. They killed Toby, so Jade would no forms would have no forms not to would no forms not an escape room. They killed Toby, so Jade would know from's not an escape room. Oh, okay, that's definitely a very big possibility as well. Because yeah, like that's a good point, Quan. Because it's not until Jade actually sees Toby's body that he's finally convinced that this isn't one big escape room. So yeah, you could be onto something there, man. I like that. I like that. Yeah, maybe that was all part of convincing Jay that this place really is real. Because yeah, up until that point, until he actually lays eyes on Toby's body, Jade is very much convinced that this whole thing is just one elaborate escape room. So maybe that was part of why Toby got killed, to convince Jade that this was indeed real. I like that. I like that theory. That's a good one. That is a good one. I feel there would be in an episode how all the characters are intertwined together like Lost did. I think so at some point or another. I don't know if we'll get that in season 3, but I do think we will get that episode at some point where, yes, we will start to realize that these characters have some sort of connection in the real world before they even got here to Fromville. I definitely think that is going to be the case. It seems like all of these characters were not brought here at random. It seems like there are specific people getting brought here for specific reasons. I mean, the odds are just astronomical for Christy to end up here and then for her fiance to end up here 6 months later. Those odds are just way too astronomical to be a coincidence. So I definitely get the feeling the people that are getting stuck here, they're getting pulled here for a very specific reason, and specifically they have some role to play here. Everybody was brought here for some kind of reason. I do get the feeling that is what's going on here. And yes, I think we will slowly start to find out that some of these characters, if not all of these characters, have some sort of connection in the real world before they got here. Whether it's small or a big connection, I do get the feeling we will start to see some kind of connections between these characters will get revealed. Hopefully when we get some more flashbacks. And that's why I really applaud the use of From up until this point in terms of how they employ their use of flashbacks. They haven't overused the flashback method, but they've used it just enough where every time we do get a flashback, it tends to give us a very vital answer. It tends to be very revealing every time we get a flashback. whether it's the flashback episode in season 1 to when Boyd first arrived in town, to how he found the talismans, how he killed his wife, everything that happened there. Every time we get a flashback scene or a flashback episode, it tends to give us a very big answer of some kind. Like in season 2, when we get the flashback scenes of Victor when he was a child, and we find out that Victor has a long lost sister that he suppressed. We find out a little bit more about Victor's mother, that she was trying to rescue the Anui children, that she was trying to find a way out of Fromville. Every time we get a flashback, it reveals something interesting. So I really like them not overusing the flashback method, but every time they do use it, they're using it for a narrative purpose and not just to do it just to have a flashback. So I really respect that way of writing, that style of writing. Because writers in shows like this, when shows like this have a lot of answers that have yet to be revealed, and you do need to kind of rely on flashbacks every once in a while, sometimes shows rely a little too much on flashbacks as a kind of crutch for monologuing and storytelling. And it can start to be a little bit of a lazy writing trope if used too much, but if you use it just right, like these From writers are, it can be such a good narrative tool to answering some questions while not spoiling future mysteries at the same time. They can go back, give us a nice flashback that gives us a vital answer, but it doesn't spoil the overall mysteries going forward. So I really enjoy their use of flashbacks up until this point. They're not overusing them, and every flashback we get has been a pretty vital answer. So I do appreciate that. Why did she have to make it look like the monsters killed Toby if they were just going to make her let them in anyway? It was a sacrifice to corrupt her. It could have been. It could have been. But if I were the entities, the spirits, it's something that I just wouldn't leave to chance. Obviously, they could have just had Sarah leave that door open and just hoped that the monsters killed everybody. But if Toby is this kind of threat, or if they think Toby is some kind of threat, getting Sarah to kill him and make sure that he's dead is the best way to not only kill Toby, but then to cover it up so that way you protect Sarah at the end of the day. Make it look like Toby was just killed by another one of the monsters, is what I got from that scene. The way that she goes up to him with the scalpel, and it seems like the voices are telling her something, and I get the feeling the voices were telling her, you have to make it look like a monster killed Toby. That, I get the feeling, was to protect Sarah, because they wanted to continue to use Sarah, and they didn't want any suspicion to be deflected onto her. Or at least that's just what I think. I mean, it could be something totally different. Who knows? Victor always has a sense of what's happening. He's done all of this before. He just doesn't remember the details. He's like Kenny's father playing chess. He may not know why, but he knows the game. Yeah, and again, it's, Victor's memory is such an interesting and intriguing part of the show, because we started to find out in season 2 that Victor's memory might not be all that he thinks it is, or Victor might be remembering certain things and he's having trouble distinguishing what is a memory and what is a memory of a dream. And that's where his drawings come into play. And I know we thought the first memory that he suppressed was the memory of his sister, but if you go back and watch season 1, episode 4, after watching season 2, you can totally see a theme has been starting since very early on. If you go back to that to episode 4 in season 1, as soon as Victor starts hearing the dog barking for the first time, that right there in that very scene, that is when Victor remembers the massacre for the first time. Up until that point, Victor didn't even remember the massacre that happened when he was a child. He hears the dog barking. He instantly gets a flashback to dead bodies all over the road and the dog barking. That instantly propels Victor to go back home to Colony House. He goes right up to his room and he starts looking for his drawings. And the drawing he finds is the drawing of the massacre. And in that moment, Victor finally realized that the massacre wasn't a dream, that it was an actual memory. And we even hear Victor say to Julie later on, I'm starting to remember things lately, things that I thought were dreams. Victor thought the massacre was a dream at first until he started hearing that dog bark again. That dog bark is what triggered the memory of the massacre for Victor in the first place, similar to how Victor got triggered for the memory of her sister when he saw that drawing in the trunk of the car. Victor is slowly getting, these memories are slowly getting triggered and coming back to Victor, and then he has to establish, all right, is this an actual memory? Or is this a dream? And that's the only way Victor can tell if something was a dream or if it was real, is by drawing it. Every time Victor draws something, he knows it was a memory and not a dream. So at first, I was under the assumption that Victor always remembered the massacre. And then you watch season 2, and then you go back and watch season 1, episode 4, and you can totally see it play out the exact same way he remembers his sister, is the exact same thing that happens with the colony house, with the first massacre when he was a child. He didn't even remember it until that dog starts barking, and it triggers that entire memory for him. So we've been seeing this theme very early on for Victor, where seemingly he's starting to remember things that he's not 100% sure are dreams or are real memories until he sees a drawing of it. If he sees a drawing of it, he knows it's a memory and not a dream. And that's how he knows the massacre was real and not a dream. And yeah, you even hear him, again, you even hear him say it in that same episode. He says, I'm starting to remember things that I thought were dreams. Hence his sister, the massacre, and who knows what else. I get the feeling there's probably so many other events that Victor's going to start remembering in seasons 3, 4, and 5 as the show continues to progress. I get the feeling this is going to be a theme that is going to continue for Victor, where something he's going to hear or see something, and it's slowly going to start triggering some memories that he didn't even know he had, like the massacre and like his sister. But yeah, so, and that's why it's so good and so rewarding to go back and watch previous episodes once new episodes come out. Because the way that this show tells its story, the very mystery box style of storytelling at its very nature, is things get revealed in stages. So as new seasons come out, like once season 3 is said and done, and we go back and watch season 1 and season 2 after seeing season 3, I bet we're going to notice a ton of things that we didn't notice the first go around watching the first 2 seasons, simply because we didn't have context for them at first. And that's one thing that's been super fun that we've been doing here on this channel. Anytime a new season comes around, we like to go back and watch the previous season and see if we can pick up on some things that maybe we didn't catch the first go around because we didn't have context for them. So I do think that's going to be a theme that continues throughout the show, where we're slowly going to start seeing things that make earlier things make a little more sense. It has a physical form. I believe it's the monster that had the boulder on him that Jade saw. Oh, okay. I have 2 people and 2 things that I think are the red things may possess. Kenny or Jade are the 2 people, or the doll. Yeah, that's right. We did see that weird kind of vision from Jade. That's right. In season 1, when he goes down into that storm cellar. I do believe I have those stills here. And yeah, he goes into that cabinet and he sees that weird kind of fucking zombie-like, dead-like dude kind of screeching at him. Here we go. With this big boulder crushing this guy. What exactly is this thing, and what exactly does it represent? Again, it almost looks like it's a similar kind of Civil War style coat for the soldier, although it's really hard to tell because it's all bloody and mangled and it's got a freaking boulder on it, so it's really hard to tell. But yeah, what exactly does this mean? I get the feeling it's little things like this that the show hopefully will start to answer as more seasons come out. They can kind of circle back to some of these earlier mysteries, and we can start solving some of these things a little bit more once we start getting a little bit more context for them. But no, that's interesting, Carrie. Has a physical form. I believe it's the monster that had the boulder on him that Jade saw. Yeah, what exactly is this? What is going on here? Could it be a monster? You could be right, Carrie. You could be right. I like that. I like that. What do you think about the broken glass in the tower with the flame? Do you think Eloise did it to escape? That is another thing that's very interesting as well. We do see at the top of the lighthouse, the light that spins and propels the actual light is a flame with glass panes in front of it. And yes, we can see some of the glass has been broken. Now, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean maybe someone has tried to destroy the tower in the past? Has somebody tried to put the light out? Does putting that light out have some kind of consequences within Fromville? Is that flame some kind of power source, for lack of a better term? who knows? I mean, I guess all of these things could potentially be true. Who knows? But yes, it seems like there are broken glass up there in that tower. And yeah, who knows? Maybe somebody tried to put that flame out at some point because they knew what that flame represented. Maybe somebody knew that putting that flame out would have some kind of side effect, and maybe they were trying to achieve that and failed. Who knows? But yeah, it's very weird to see those broken glass. I get the feeling that glass up there is broken for a reason, and hopefully we'll find out what that reason is at some point. But yeah, very interesting. I'm not sure myself. It's there's so many questions when it comes to that dang lighthouse. We have really no solid answers as to what this lighthouse is and what it represents and its purpose, what purpose it serves within the greater From as a whole. It's really hard to tell. But yeah, who knows? Maybe someone tried to destroy the glass and put out the flame at some point in the past for some reason. David, exactly, David. Sarah did not have to kill Toby. Was just thinking the same thing. Just let him in, kill the lady. See, again, I think they could have, but if I was those whispers, I wouldn't. That's not something I would have left to chance. If I do think Toby is a threat, I'm not going to leave it to chance that the monsters may or may not kill him just by leaving that door open. I'm going to make sure he's dead. So that was kind of my thinking. I mean, why leave it to chance when you can definitely have a guarantee and then just cover it up afterwards? It just seems a little bit of more of a guarantee than hoping and praying that the monsters get the job done. But who knows? Who knows? The red entity possesses Kenny. Then his father and mother are just visual tricks. Ooh, the red entity possesses Kenny. Then his father and mother are just visual tricks. Yeah, I mean, again, what exactly is this freaking red symbol and what does it represent? You know, we've seen the other symbol time and time again, all over the place, all over From, but we've yet to see any other representation of this weird kind of almost spider-like, Cthulhu-like red symbol. It almost looks like Cthulhu a bit with the tentacles and the eyes and the head, but then it almost looks like a spider as well. So yeah, it's again, what exactly is this red symbol a representation of? What is it going to mean? What is it symbolic of as a whole? Hopefully we get a little bit more about that on season 3, because we don't know nothing. We know absolutely nothing about this red symbol up until this point. There's a lot of really good theories surrounding it. A lot of the great fan theories that you guys have been coming up with surrounding this red symbol have been so fascinating to listen to. And who knows, maybe some of you are more right than we know. But hopefully we get a little bit more on this red symbol in season 3, or hopefully in season 3. Because yeah, we know nothing about this red one at all and what it's a representation of. I mean, just when you look at the two of them, it almost gives you a sort of yin and yang kind of vibe, dark and evil. Are they two opposing forces to one another? Which is another thing we've talked about at length here on the channel. That it seems like maybe there are these two forces at play within Fromville that are maybe just in opposition to one another. Maybe one is light, maybe one is dark, or maybe neither are light and neither are dark, and they're just simply two opposing forces that are using the monsters and the residents of the From as chess pieces, for lack of a better term. We see all the freaking chess metaphors are scattered all throughout the show. So yeah, what exactly do these symbols represent? And will we find out in season 3? I don't know. If you guys have any in particular red symbol theories, definitely let me know in the chat, because I would love to hear some of your thoughts and ideas on what you guys think this red symbol might represent and what narrative point it might play in the show. So if anybody has any theories on the red symbol, definitely let me know in the chat. I would love to hear them. Always like hearing a good theory. I also think Toby was an important player on our side. I think that's why the voices had Sarah kill him and cut his tongue out, and his ghost can't communicate with us. That's something that's pretty interesting as well. Was cutting out the tongue a little more deliberate? Maybe it wasn't just covering it up and making it look like the monsters killed him. Does cutting out the tongue prevent a spirit from communicating after they die? That's an interesting theory, Tyler. I like that. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, but yeah, Jade doesn't know Christopher. It has to mean something. That's a good point. Actually, Jade doesn't know Christopher, but Jade has seen Christopher multiple times in that picture. So when the when Christopher is appearing to Jade in Tom's bar. At that point, Jade already knew what Christopher looked like because he had seen him in the picture. So if he hadn't seen him in the picture, I think that would be a little bit weirder for Christopher popping up to Jade like that. But since Jade had already seen what he looks like in that picture, I think it starts to make a little more sense, but who knows? Fromville was created by a trickster. He lives to play games and make a fool out of them. He enjoys that. It's again very possible. What exactly is this place to begin with? How did it come to be? Who created it? Why was it created? Why are people getting brought here? And what is their purpose? What is the reason that people are being brought here? Are they just pawns? Are they unwitting pawns in some cosmic game between two cosmic entities, or some trickster, as you say? Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? They are the entity. They are the entity because it only takes the form of dead people, including Martin. Interesting. Interesting. And yes, Fromville loves to manipulate the people here, and whatever the entity is, it's playing long game. I definitely get the feeling that's the case as well. Like whatever kind of trick is being played on a lot of these characters, if every time we see dead Tom or the dead Father Cautry return, if this is indeed the entity or some other entity playing tricks on these characters, yes, it definitely seems like it's manipulating them in some way, shape, or form. But I think you're right. I think it's going to be the long game. It's setting up some long con that is going to play out over multiple seasons, something we probably won't get a whole lot of answers to until the very end, I'm thinking. But who knows? Who knows? Jade may end up making a connection based simply on what he knows about Toby. He may figure out Toby was important once he figures out Sarah killed him because of the voices. Yeah, I mean, that would be very interesting as well. I mean, well, yeah, I imagine at this point, does Jade know what the hand that Sarah played? Obviously, Kenny knows that Sarah had a big hand in killing her father in terms of leaving the door open, getting her father killed. Does Jade know the hand that Sarah played in Toby's death in terms of leaving the door open, or whether she actually killed him? I wonder how much Jade knows. That's one scene that we never actually get spoken on screen. Maybe something happens in between scenes or off screen that maybe Jade gets filled in on. But as far as I know, I don't remember any scene that reveals to Jade specifically the hand that Sarah played in Toby's death. I'm not sure how much Jade knows there. I don't know. If you guys know, let me know in the chat. Abby said that Boyd doesn't listen, which he don't. Even when they first showed up in town, she's wanted to keep driving, so the entity told Boyd exactly what not to do, knowing he wouldn't listen. And that's what gets me to think that maybe there's a little bit more going on here with this entity than we think. That maybe, although it looks like Boyd destroys that music box and seemingly defeats the entity, maybe there's a little bit more going on there. Maybe that entity wanted Boyd to destroy that music box. And I know that's something Dana has been talking about for a while, and it's a theory I definitely like myself. Because I get the feeling we haven't seen the end of that entity. I do get the feeling we will see it again at some point. It seems like it was just wrapped up a little too clean for that to be the very end of that entity. I do get the feeling it's still around somewhere. But no, that's a good point. Maybe it's kind of, telling Boyd what to do, knowing that Boyd will do the exact opposite. That's a good point, Carrie. Very good point. Because Boyd is that kind of character at the end of the day. He's very strong-willed. He's very free-spirited. Boyd likes doing things his way. So if someone's trying to manipulate Boyd into doing something one way, it's almost a good chance that he's going to do the exact opposite. So yeah, that's a good point, Carrie. I like that. It's certainly interesting that Jade said he just sold a software company based on a quantum algorithm and said he designs the maze and places the cheese. His tech might have created this. That's a very good point. That's right. He says, we design the maze. We place the cheese. Jade's not used to the role reversal. Jade's not used to being the mouse inside the trap. He's used to setting the trap and setting the cheese. So yeah, maybe all of that is one big kind of metaphor or allegory for, or a hint that Jade maybe had a little bit more of a hand in creating this place than we thought, or at least maybe his technology did. We have no idea who Jade sold his technology to at the end of the day. I think that could be a big clue. If Jade's tech is going to play some part in the story, I get the feeling whoever Jade sold his tech to is going to be responsible for that, and not exactly Jade himself. I just get the feeling that they're going that way. They mentioned Jade sold that company for a reason. I have a feeling, not that Jade created a company, that he specifically sold that company. So I get the feeling if Jade's company does play a part in the overall narrative, whoever he sold that company to, they're probably going to be the guilty party. I get the feeling, but just a theory. But I like that. That's a good one, Julie. Very good one. Sounds like that's all Sarah killed. Perhaps another person in the real world too. Yeah, what exactly happened with Sarah before she ended up in Fromville? That's been a very interesting topic that we've had a few times here on the channel as well. I mean, there's a very weird relationship going on there between Sarah and her brother. Obviously, Sarah's brother is incredibly overprotective of Sarah, almost like he's afraid she might go off the handle at any given time. He's very overprotective of her. He's always keeping an eye on her. He always wants to know where she is, what she's doing. And yes, is that indicative of Sarah's past? Does that mean maybe Sarah has a little bit of a darker past than we thought? We don't hear a whole lot about her past other than that the brother went down to Pennsylvania to pick her up and to bring her back home to Boston. But we're not quite sure anything else about Sarah's past other than she had some kind of boyfriend at one point and it didn't end well. Could Sarah potentially have killed her boyfriend and maybe the brother was bringing her back home to get her out of there? I know a lot of people have brought up a possible theory that Sarah kind of got sucked into some kind of maybe cult, for lack of a better term, and the brother kind of broke her out of it. That could be a very interesting theory too. Yeah, there's so much question marks about Sarah's past and what exactly was Sarah getting into before she got stuck here in Fromville. We still know nothing about what happened to her before she was here. So yeah, who knows? Who knows, guys? But I have a feeling it's going to be something. I definitely get the feeling it's going to be something. Yes, it's one big trick, but the trickster tricked the wrong people and was punished with his own tricks, and that's why he wants to get out as well. Okay, interesting. And I mean, in terms of getting out, I do get the feeling that could potentially be one of its main goals, because it almost seems in some small ways that this whole place, Fromville as a whole, whether it's a pocket universe, pocket dimension, whatever it is, it almost seems like it's some kind of supernatural prison in some small ways in terms of all the weird things that are trapped here. Could this potentially just be one big supernatural prison that is keeping things like the entity, the monsters, and other things at bay and keeping them from getting into the real world? Maybe that is the ultimate objective. Maybe escaping Fromville is the ultimate goal for all of these creatures. Who knows? Could be cool. Could be very cool. And yeah, so much is possible, so it's hard to narrow anything down. I know, right, Kiwi? It really is. I mean, I know we're 2 seasons in, but even though we're 2 seasons in, at this point, it's pretty much been all mystery, and not a whole lot of big answers have been revealed yet. So yes, at this point, we're still so early on in the story that almost anything and everything is still a very viable theory, really. Not a whole lot of theories have just been outright disproven up until this point. So much is still possible because there's just so much we still don't know. And again, that's what makes these streams so fun, at least for me personally, as a fan of the show and as a fan of crafting theories and hearing other people's theories and trying to solve these mysteries together as a whole. That is one of the things that makes From the most fun about it. We're still at that very early beginning stages where so much, almost anything could still be possible at this point. And that's what makes the theorizing so fun, for me anyway, just as a pure fan. Absolutely loving it. Did Victor say Christopher was driving one of the 2 cars that showed up on the same day? I believe he said something about the car that is in the picture that Christopher is in was his mother's. I believe. I could be off on that, but I do believe the car inside the picture that Christopher is leaning up against, I want to say that that's Victor's mother's car. Although it could be Christopher's. I could be wrong on that. Again, it's been a little while since I've watched season 2. So I'm a little hazy. But yeah, does Christopher going to have any relation to Victor? That's another question I've been wondering as well. We still know absolutely nothing about Victor's father. Was Victor's father with them when they got stuck here in Fromville? Was it just Victor and his mother? Was Victor's mother a single mother? Was the father even in the picture? We have no idea. But I did hear a few people bringing up that maybe Christopher could be Victor's father. And I mean, again, there's still so much that we don't know, that anything is possible. That could be possible too, I suppose. But yeah, will we find out that Victor and Christopher have some kind of connection beyond just being people that got stuck here in Fromville? I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I am not sure. But definitely raises some questions. What exactly is Christopher and Victor's connection? Is there a familial tie there, or are they simply just two people that both got stuck here in Fromville? Another theory I thought I saw a lot of people bringing up was the fact that a lot of people seem to think that the doll, the ventriloquist doll, might belong to Christopher. We do get that one line from Victor in season 2 where Victor talks about it's not easy to get people to laugh here. Christopher was very good at getting people to laugh during the time that wasn't really easy here. Again, this was way back in the day before they found the talismans, before they could actually build a life here and live. They were just doing everything they could just to simply survive. So I imagine laughter was much not as easy to come by back then. But that's one thing Victor does credit Christopher with, that he was able to make people laugh. And a lot of people seem to make that correlation that maybe the ventriloquist was Christopher. And I suppose it's possible. I suppose it is possible. But yeah, awesome stuff, guys. Awesome stuff tonight. Jukebox music ends and Sarah has her worms in the arm, kill the boy, and seizures. And that's another thing that we've been wondering so well. The message that popped up on Sarah's arm, is it worms or is it something else? I don't think it's worms. I've looked back at that scene dozens of times up until this point, and I've compared it with Boyd's worms over and over and over again. And they don't look the same at all. They look like totally different markings. It looks like the thing that pops up on Sarah's arm is almost a carved message of some kind. It almost looks like it's some form of stigmata that only she can see, and then it just disappears really quickly. I don't think Sarah has worms in her, especially when we look at all of the surrounding evidence that comes with the worms. As soon as Boyd had those worms, he had clear physical symptoms that came along with those worms. It was making him weak. It was messing up his vision. He's falling down all over the place. They were clearly making him sick in some way, shape, or form. Whereas Sarah has displayed none of those symptoms. So I get the feeling the message that popped up on Sarah's arm, I just don't think those were worms. I don't think those were the same worms that Boyd had. I think that was something totally different. They just look a little similar. I could be wrong, though. I definitely could be wrong. They could end up being worms, but given how many times I've studied them and how different they look from Boyd's worms, I just think it's something different. I think it was just a message that the entities, that the voices were trying to convey to Sarah, kill the boy. I don't necessarily think those were worms, but who knows? Who knows? Still so much we don't know. The entities that are trapped there are trying to help, but some are evil, and some want people to suffer. And I definitely think there is a degree of this going on. Abso-freaking-lutely, Unicorn. Because, I mean, if we look at some of the voices that have been at play here in Fromville, we do see a clear difference in at least two of the voices and their motivations. We see the voices that have been manipulating Sarah in season 1, and it seems like the voices that were manipulating Sarah definitely seem to have a little bit of a nefarious goal. Obviously, they're telling Sarah to kill people. They have some nefarious goals. And then at the end of season 1, we get a different voice that communicates with Sarah. And Sarah even said, this voice was different this time. This one was female. She specifically says this one was female, indicating that every other voice that she had heard up until that point had been male voices. Now, all of a sudden, she's getting a different voice that she's never heard before that she credits as being female. And what does the voice tell Sarah? It tells Sarah about Boyd and fish and loaves, which led a lot of us to believe that that second voice that was reaching out to Sarah when her and Boyd were in the woods was most likely the voice of Boyd's deceased wife, Abby. And I definitely think that is the case, because every other voice that Sarah has heard has been telling Sarah to do something heinous, kill somebody, do something dark, where that voice specifically is telling Boyd and Sarah that I was wrong. There's worse things out here than the monsters, and you need to go back to town. Almost like that voice is trying to help keep Sarah and Boyd safe. So I definitely think there are two definitely different forces and different camps out there when it comes to these weird voices that are at play. Some that are manipulating Sarah definitely seem to have a little bit more of a nefarious goal and nefarious means behind them. But then again, we get that other voice, which seems to be like it could potentially have been Boyd's wife. How else would Sarah have heard the fish and loaves thing for starters? So it seems like there are two different camps of voices out there where some are doing good and some are doing evil. I definitely believe that as well, for sure. For sure. Good stuff. Good stuff. I wonder what Christopher did. He definitely didn't kill everyone himself. The bodies were all ripped apart. Maybe Christopher went insane and revealed everyone's hiding spots to the creatures. I definitely think that's a little bit more likely. We've discussed that a little bit in the past as well, where it doesn't seem like Christopher was capable of killing everyone. Obviously, like you said, we see all of the bodies. They're all ripped up, and it clearly looks like these victims were victims of monsters. But it seems like Christopher had some sort of hand in that massacre. Again, if Victor's mother is telling Victor and his sister to hide somewhere where Christopher can't find you, that seems to, it stands to reason that Christopher was some kind of threat. And I do get the feeling that is probably the case. I don't think Christopher killed anyone himself, but Christopher may have been corrupted at that point where maybe he did. Maybe he led the monsters to everybody's hiding spots, and maybe that's the hand he played. And maybe that's specifically why Victor's mother told them to hide somewhere where Victor couldn't find you, so Victor couldn't reveal their hiding spot to the monsters. So it fits. It definitely fits. And it's a theory that I definitely believe in as well. There definitely seems to be some cosmic design to From or something like that. And I think that's the case as well. I think everything that we're seeing here in these first few seasons, the monsters, the survivors, even the first cicada entity, it seems like these are kind of the lower level players, for lack of a better term, the pawns, for lack of a better term. I do get the feeling it has yet to be revealed the main cosmic players that are at work here, and I do think they will reveal that at some point. Maybe in season 3 we'll get some kind of hint as to what exactly is at the other end of the tip of the spear. We hear the monsters are just the tip of the spear, indicating to us that there are far more other stuff out there. But what exactly does that mean? What exactly does other end of the spear mean? Is there one big kind of cosmic entity out there that is in charge, that is kind of, pulling all the strings to all these puppets in the background? What exactly is going on there? I definitely tend to think there is a bigger cosmic answer going on there. There are definitely some bigger cosmic forces at work. I feel like that much is kind of almost clear to us, considering that this place can literally get mad at people. We saw the theory that Sarah's brother had, for one, that if people try too much to escape here, something will push back, which is pretty much what we saw happen at the end of season 1, where we get Boyd and Sarah out there in the woods trying to find answers. And at the same time, we have Jade and Jim building the radio tower, trying to find a way out, trying to get a message out. So I definitely get the feeling, there is some kind of cosmic force at play here that is at a higher level, where everything we're seeing here, from the survivors to the monsters, they seem to be a little bit more like pawns, and the king and queen haven't quite been revealed yet. I get the feelings, but yeah, I think you're right, Doc. There seems to be some kind of cosmic forces at play here that haven't been revealed yet. Some people bleed from their nose. Some do not when they have illusions. At least have not seen it on Elgin when he drowned. But Tabitha and Sarah bleed. Yeah, I'm trying to think back when Elgin has his seizure at the beginning of season 2. I don't remember if he has a bloody nose or not. I want to say he doesn't. But yes, we have seen Sarah get one. We have seen Tabitha get one as well, which is right. But yes, it doesn't seem like not everybody gets the bloody nose when they're getting visions. Jade, for one, we have seen Jade have a few visions as well. He never has a bloody nose whenever he has his visions of the symbol or the vision of the doll. Every Jade that Vision has had doesn't come with a bloody nose. So it seems like the bloody nose only happens to certain characters and not all. I agree. Oh, yeah. And as you said, Jade doesn't either. Yeah, Jade doesn't either. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Great stuff tonight, guys. You guys are absolutely killing it with the theories, and again, that's why I absolutely love these streams, and that's why I love this still. I mean, this is still my favorite picture ever of Jade. I love where Jade's character has gone at the end of season 2. I feel like Jade again has probably grown the most in terms of character development. Who he was at the beginning of season 1 versus who he is at the end of season 2. I feel like Jade has had almost the most growth as a character from the kind of arrogant, tech billionaire attitude he had when he first arrived here to the attitude that he's starting to get towards the end of season 2, where he's starting to look at things from a little bit more of a supernatural, mystical lens, trying to figure out this symbol as opposed to kind of just being science first all the time. He's definitely kind of changing his way of thinking, or at the very least, he's open to other ways of thinking. And it didn't seem like he was at the beginning. So I really appreciate Jade's growth as a character overall. I do think he's grown the most. But still, I love episode. If you go back to season 1, those first 2 episodes, the Jade that we get in episode 1 and 2 is just still some of my favorite Jade moments that we'll ever get in the series. He's so hilarious. He's got some of the best lines, some great one-liners. I mean, stealing bikes, he's an absolute menace when he first arrives here in Fromville, all because he thinks this is one big freaking escape room. So I really love the menace that Jade is in those first 2 episodes. But I do appreciate where his character has gone since in the growth that we've seen of Jade. And yeah, you're right, Star. Come on, Jeremy. He ran out of special weed. I know, right? Shit, maybe that's what made him grow up. He ran out of weed, and all of a sudden he had to grow up. That'll make it grow up quick. Being sober in a place like Fromville, shit. I don't know how I would survive in Fromville without any cannabis. So that's a good point, Star. Good point. Good point, guys. So far, with 2 seasons, we have so many questions. Most of them are not answered yet. I hope they don't add too many more. I'm getting a bit dizzy with so much stuff. And I think a lot of us have similar kind of thoughts as well. I do, at least in some cases, where I'm loving the mystery up until this point. Seasons 1 and 2, like you said, they're pretty much all mystery with not really many answers. But now that we're getting into season 3, I do hope we start to get some small answers here and there before they just throw a ton of more mysteries at us. I do get the feeling there are definitely some more mysteries to come, but hopefully we start to get some small answers with those mysteries as well. So it's not just mystery stacking up on top of mystery on top of mystery on top of mystery for 4 straight seasons. By the time you get to like season 3 territory, you hope that you start to get some small answers anyway. At least that's what I'm hoping. I really hope season 3 provides some small answers. Definitely. I guess we'll see. I guess we shall see. Ethan said that one of the questions they should be asking is who is trying to help. Still, as Boy pointed out, how is it helping to get them home if Sarah obeys the voices and kills people? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good question. I mean, it seems like obviously the ultimate goal is to get everybody home, but I imagine they don't want to get everybody home. Again, part of me seems to think that this place still potentially could be some kind of supernatural prison for all of these weird creatures and entities. And if the survivors find a way out, could the monsters and the entities potentially find a way out with them is the question, I guess. I'm not sure. But again, good freaking questions, guys. With a spear, there's a tip, handle, and the person holding it. 3 parts to the monster's part specifically. So yeah, what exactly is the middle part of the spear, and more importantly, probably most importantly, I would imagine, who exactly is holding the spear? Because whoever is holding the spear would stand to reason that that is the puppet master, that is the Wizard of Oz, that is the man behind the curtain, or woman behind the curtain, whatever it ends up being. Whoever is holding this spear, that is the big mystery, I imagine. Because yes, the whole tip of the spear metaphor, it's very kind of, it's very off, it's very kind of throws you off at one point where you start to think, who's the tip, who's the middle, and who's the top of the spear? But really the biggest question, like you said, Carrie, who is holding the spear? That's the biggest mystery right there, because whoever's holding the spear, that is the puppet master. That is who is in charge. So yeah, very good point. Very, very good point. Indeed. Great stuff tonight, guys. The boy in white may be another child survivor from an earlier generation, and that's definitely a possibility. We have seen the boy. I tend to think that the boy in white and the dogs are similar in terms of being almost stuck stuck in a certain state that they are. Obviously, we saw these dogs were here in town when Victor was a child. And since dogs don't usually tend to live for 40, 50 plus years, that tends to not usually happen anyway. I mean, this is Fromville, so who knows? But I get the feeling the dogs and the boy in white are in a similar state where they're not alive, they're not dead, they simply don't age. And even Sarah says he looks like a boy, but I don't think he really is a boy, which is clearly the case. I mean, we've seen the boy in white has been in town at the very least since Victor was a child, and he hasn't really aged much since. So the boy in white, at the very least, is 40, 50 plus years old, just as old as the dogs, but none of them seem to age. So I get the feeling the dogs and the boy in white are similar kind of agents out there where they're not dead, they're not alive, they're just kind of stuck in this in-between phase. But the question is, do the dogs and the boy in white, do they have their own agency, or are they being used by something else? Does something else out there control the boy in white and the dogs is what I want to know. Is the boy in white just out there doing his own plan? Does the boy in white have his own plan and does it answer to anyone? Or is the boy in white answer to someone else and is being used as another piece of the chessboard, for lack of better terms? And I guess that's the question. I have no clue. I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you think the boy in white is his own master, or do you think the boy in white answers to someone else? Is somebody controlling the boy in white? And is somebody controlling the dogs? Or do they have their own agency altogether? I guess that's one of the questions. I'm not sure. I am not sure. Jade's journey and character growth is even more impressive when you consider how little time he actually passed since he arrived. The 2 seasons are packed with action, but it's in a very short time span. Very true. I mean, it seems like a whole lot of time goes by for us as the audience members because, we're waiting a week in between new episodes, a year in between new seasons. So from an audience standpoint, sometimes it might seem like more time is passing than actually does. But yes, the actual amount of time that has actually passed inside Fromville since Jade and the Matthews family have arrived, because they did arrive at the same time, Jade and the Matthews family, it has been a whole lot of time that has passed. And yes, Jade has experienced a ton of growth in a very short span of time. So that's very true. Very true. Iktomi shapeshifts, and when he turns human, he normally wears red, yellow, or white. Uh-oh. The boy in white. Could it be? Could it be? Yeah, the boy in white is a huge question mark, just like the dogs. I'm still trying to figure out exactly, where these things fit into play, if they have their own agency or are they being controlled by something else. Dogs didn't live that long. However, peaches do survive. Very true. This is very true. The dogs might not live 40 years, but we know the canned peaches have survived at the very least that long. So that's true. That is very true. It does not get them home. They said that to manipulate her, to kill them with the notion they would be let go, just like they did with Boyd and the music box. If Fromville wants you to do something, don't listen. And that's a very good kind of rules to live by if you are in Fromville. If you have these weird kind of nefarious entities and voices whispering in your ear to telling you to do something, it's a good bet that you might want to do the exact opposite at this point. So that's a good point. Those are words to live by in Fromville. Do the exact opposite for whatever the freaking voices tell you. The boy in white might be assuming this form to trick them into into believing he's innocent and good. There's a crayon drawing in the intro of a man in white that's intriguing, with a raven's shaped mouth. I remember that. I actually do have that still in one of my folders here. I try to keep all of the intro drawings close at hand at any time. But yes, we do see one of the drawings in the intro to the series, and it looks like it's the boy in white, and it looks like there's a crow in his mouth, but it almost looks like that boy in white looks a little bit older. So I see what you mean there. It doesn't kind of look like the same young boy in white. Now, could that just be chalked up to it being a children's drawing and it's meant to still be a kid? Or is that indicative of the boy in white could potentially take on other forms? So that's a good question. It's a very good question. Let me see if I can find that. Where is it? Here we go. Here we go. We see this picture for every episode that airs. Every time we get the intro, we see this picture right here. And again, it does kind of almost look like it is the boy in white, but it looks like a little bit of an older version of the boy in white almost. And yes, the mouth definitely resembles a crow. But yeah, what exactly is that? Is this meant to be the same old boy in white that we know, or is this an indication that the boy in white could potentially take on other forms? I suppose it's a very good theory, Julie. I like it. I like it. I like it. Yeah, well, his socks are good. Under the dome, people stuck in a town they can't get out of. A lot of weird mystery happening. Things happen in the past, and you can get out via special ways and how to get back in, etc. Yeah, super similarities, right? I actually enjoy Under the Dome. I didn't see all of the show, but I have read the book. Under the Dome is a pretty fascinating story, and yes, there's so many similarities with Under the Dome and From. A lot of parallels there between the two stories, definitely. Who were the two cars when Victor was little? Was it Victor and Christopher that came into town together? That's a good question, Carrie. Because yes, Victor clearly seems to think that anytime two cars arrive at once, it's special. It means something. It's almost like it's a harbinger of things to come, be it good or bad. But yeah, who exactly were the two cars that arrived last time? Was it Victor and Christopher? Maybe that's. I mean, those guesses are as good as any, I would suppose. I also think we are going to find out that a child always needs to be in Fromville because sacrificing them empowers the evil god. Very good point. I mean, we have seen this weird kind of theme with children in Fromville where there always seems to be only like one child in Fromville at a time. When season 1 starts off, of course, we have young Megan. Young Megan seems to be one of the only, if not the only, children in town. As soon as Megan gets killed, boom, Ethan arrives the next day. So that's very interesting. I mean, and if that is the case, if that is a theme that is going to continue, it begs the question, what exactly is going to happen to Ethan when Fatima's baby arrives? If Fatima's baby arrives, which I'm still very hesitant to think that that baby might even be born, or if it is born, if it'll even be normally human. Might not be. We do get that weird foreshadowing from Ellis, where he's always picturing the baby being born with fangs and claws. So yeah, if that is a theme, if there is some kind of theme where there's only one child in Fromville at a time, what exactly does that mean for Ethan when the baby is born? So yeah, good stuff. I don't know. I do not know. I believe the boy in white is serving his own purpose, but he listens to the big bad. He reached out to Elgin and possibly Father Cautry and tricked several people. Yeah, we still have no idea what really reached out to Father Cautry and kind of told him to get back into his car and continue driving. And then boom, 2 hours later, he ends up right here in Fromville. It seems like whatever cosmic force is in charge of Fromville or is at play in Fromville, it almost feels like they have at least a small measure of influence in the real world, at least enough power and enough influence to kind of draw people into Fromville, even if not enough power to physically escape. It seems like something has at least enough influence where they can pull people into Fromville. And yeah, Father Cautry is a pretty good example of that, where he's about to kill himself 1 minute, hears a voice that he thinks is the voice of God telling him to get in his car and to keep driving, and then boom, he ends up in From. So it's a very, very strange coincidence. Very strange coincidence. But yeah, all great stuff tonight, guys. All great stuff tonight. I know Boyd's wife went batty, but was she onto something, believing that when they die there, they wake up again? That's a very, very interesting question as well, especially considering how season 2 ends with Tabitha. Whereas I think a lot of people maybe think that maybe when Tabitha went out of that window and went out of the lighthouse and through the glass, that maybe she potentially fell through some sort of portal that made her end up in the real world or in some other part of Fromville. Although a lot of other people have been bringing up the question that what if Tabitha's body is at the bottom of the lighthouse right now? And yeah, maybe there was something a little bit more to what Boyd's wife was saying. Maybe you do have to die here in Fromville in order to escape. I mean, it's possible again, and that's what's so fun about the show this early on, where we haven't really gotten a whole lot of answers yet, that so many of these theories could wind up being true up until this point. But yeah, who knows? Maybe there's something a little bit more to what Abby was saying. Maybe there is some kind of aspect of dying inside Fromville gets you to escape. I mean, I guess we'll find out in season 3. When season 3 comes around, I have to imagine somebody will probably go to the lighthouse to at least try and figure out what happened to Tabitha. I imagine that has to happen. Whether it's Boyd, whether it's Victor, whether it's Jim, I have to imagine somebody at the very least is going to want to at least find out what happened to Tabitha, or somebody at the very least is going to want to go and look for her. Because again, Victor's probably going to come back to town alone, and there's going to be tons of questions as to what happened to Tabitha. So naturally, it stands to reason that at least somebody is going to go after Tabitha and try and figure out what happened to her. And when we get to the lighthouse, like if we see Tabitha's body just boom, plop there at the bottom of the lighthouse, I guess that'll answer our question as to whether or not you need to die in Fromville in order to escape. I guess if there's a body there, that'll be telling. That will be telling. Who knows? And yeah, if that's true, maybe Victor's mother got out as well. Yeah, because Victor said he did see his mother's body laying right there next to the faraway tree, I believe. So yeah, maybe there's a little bit more to that theory than we originally thought. Maybe dying in Fromville, maybe there is some merit to the whole you die in Fromville, you do escape. Maybe there's a little bit more. Who knows? Who knows? I don't remember Tom's tongue being cut out. Didn't they place his body partly neatly outside and then collapse out? Yes, Tom's tongue was not cut out. Toby's tongue was cut out, not Tom. Tom's body was, it looked like it was flayed like any of the other monster victims. No, I don't believe Tom's tongue was cut out. I don't think so anyway. Toby's tongue, however, looked to be cut out though. But no, yeah, I guess we'll have to go back and check if Tom had his tongue, because he was talking. I know that Katri and Abby had theirs. Yeah, I want to say Tom still had his tongue. I do believe Toby was the only one that had the tongue removed, but again, I can't be 100% sure. I'll have to go back and watch the beginning of season 2 again to see if Tom has his tongue. But I do believe he did have his tongue. It looked like he was just a regular monster victim where his body was just ripped up like the other victims. But not 100% sure. Jack Bender specifically got shots of the crows looking down on the people of the town. So the crows definitely are watchers, and you can even see on the cave drawing. Yeah, I mean, the crows are another thing, are a huge question mark. What exactly are these crows going to represent as a whole on From? It seems like the crows are going to play some kind of important role on the show, whether it's watchers or something else. The crows seem to be some kind of big part of that, but what exactly do the crows mean? What part are they going to play? Now, of course, it could be something similar like Viking mythology, where you have Odin's crows and he can kind of see through the eyes of his crows. Anything that Odin's crows sees, he can see as well. So yeah, maybe the crows are kind of watchers, for lack of a better term. Maybe something is spying on the town through the eyes of the crows. Maybe that's potentially how the monsters and everything know all of these answers that they know. The monsters know everybody's name. They know what people do during the day. Which is clearly shown to us in that season 3 teaser when Boyd screams out in the middle of the day, "This place can't break me." And then in the season 3 teaser, we hear one of the monsters saying, "You said this place couldn't break you. That's what you said." And as far as we know, the monsters are asleep and under the ground during the day. So how exactly would the monsters have heard Boyd say that if they were asleep at the time? Well, if the crows are some sort of watchers, maybe the crows are the means of surveillance that we're seeing during the day. Because it seems like the townsfolk are under some form of surveillance, if not technological, some kind of supernatural surveillance. And who knows, maybe the crows are playing some kind of part in that. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Still not a whole lot we know about the crows, but it does seem like they're going to play some kind of part. Let's see what else we got. Answer a few more before we get ready to close this one down. Again, I could talk From with you guys all freaking night and never get bored. But unfortunately, we do have to cut it short at some point. I also very badly want to know and find out about those creepy pale zombie kids. I can't stand them, LOL, because I don't know who they are. I don't know their purpose, evil or good or souls in despair. Yeah, what exactly is going on with the weird Anui children? That's another huge question that we still know nothing about. We see the children start to appear to Tabitha in the beginning of season 2 and scattered throughout season 2. We see Tabitha is seeing these children over and over and over again. But what exactly does it mean? Who exactly are these children, and what was happening to them in this moment? Are they some kind of sacrifice, some kind of ritual, some kind of experiment? What exactly was going on here with these kids? Because it does look like they're almost in some sort of trance-like state during this Anui scene when they're on all of these blocks. It seems like they're in some kind of coma or trance-like state. But what exactly is their purpose? And what exactly is their purpose overall? The only thing we heard about them earlier on is that it seems like Victor's mother was on her way to the tower to rescue the children. And when we hear that, we instantly think that Victor's mother was potentially going to rescue these children, maybe. Maybe these children were unwitting pawns in some kind of weird experiment or sacrifice, and Victor's mother was trying to save them before this ritual happened, and maybe she failed. But yeah, who exactly are these kids and what do they mean? When Anui first came out during season 2, we all dove headfirst into the research, trying to research exactly what Anui meant. And although we didn't really find much under the word Anui, I did find a very special abbreviated version of the word called Anku. And Anku are basically spirits, or basically these kind of entities that shepherd the souls of the dead to hell. And that's the only thing that I could find that came even close to potentially fitting into Fromville in some weird shape or form, where I couldn't find anything solid on Anui. But again, I did find an abbreviated version of the word called Anku, which again, they are weird shepherds. They are shepherds that shepherd the souls of the dead to hell, essentially. So are these Anui children weird shepherds, for lack of a better term, that shepherd the souls of the dead, perhaps? Who knows? I have no clue. But it is fun to kind of dive into these things and research them a little bit. I remember with the Anui thing, we all had a lot of fun with that last year, kind of diving into the Anui word to try and figure out what it meant. But no, you guys' guess is as good as mine. Good night, chat. I have to go to bed. I love your theories tonight. Great job, everyone. And thanks, Jeremy, for the chat community you build. See you next stream. Well, thank you so much for that, Robert Saunders. And yes, the biggest thank you goes out to all of you guys in the chat. You guys are the ones who make these streams so fun and make them what they are. You guys come with such positive energy every week and some of the best and most fun theories I've ever heard. I genuinely look forward to my From streams every week. It's probably one of the highlights of my week every week. I love diving into the show with all of you guys. It's always a ton of freaking fun. So thank you. Thank every single one of you for joining us this evening. Did the crazy monster girl bite out dude's tongue? Yes, that's right. She did. Jasmine, yes. In season 1, episode 7, when we get to the Colony House Massacre, when Jasmine is let into the building, yes, she bites the dude's tongue out in the middle of kissing him. That is true. So that's the second time we have seen tongues removed. So good point, Star. I forgot about that. I genuinely forgot about that first time. Yes, Jasmine does rip his tongue out. Yeah. So we have 2 instances of tongues being ripped out so far. So good stuff. Good stuff. Everybody sees the tree and those motherfucking crows. You gotta love Donna. Those crows mean something for sure. I think so too. I mean, obviously it doesn't seem like it's been revealed yet, but it does seem like these crows are going to play a big part in the narrative. And I think they could potentially be some sort of watchers, like some of you were suggesting. That's possible. I think the crows are helping to keep the entity in. I believe the rat we saw eating the crow was the entity after shapeshifting after eating an enemy. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. Yes, we did get that very ominous shot in the beginning of season 2 when Tabitha and Victor were down there in those tunnels. And yes, we see a rat eating one of the crows. And yes, could that be the entity taking out one of its guards per se? That's interesting. I like that, Carrie. Yeah, I like that. That's a good one. I think the crows / ravens are the watchers to which God is up to you, but I think they're on the good side. And that's another question. If these crows are watchers of some sort, what side are they on? Are they the Watchers? Are they the reason why the monsters are figuring out everything that they know? Are they informing to the monsters, or are these Watchers, these crows, maybe a little bit on the side of good? Like Carrie said, maybe they're a little bit more on the side of good, and they're the enemy of the entity even. So, yeah, which is which? Are they some kind of Watcher? And if they are, what side of the spectrum do they fall on? Good, evil, or neither, or both? Even who knows? Only one rat, right? I believe so. Yes. I mean, I want to say it was just one rat and one crow, one of each. I'll have to go back and check, but I'm about 90% sure that it's one rat and one crow each. I believe. Yes, I believe so. The children may be these seven sisters who were sent to be a constellation when threatened with death. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. And these are the kind of cosmic theories that I really do enjoy kind of diving into. These really fun, obscure cosmic theories. Those are some of my most fun ones that I like hearing. The Ankui children, the Ankui kids are such a weird random addition. It's weird that Tabitha thought there would be actual kids to save in that tower. How would they still be kids if Victor's mom failed to save them? And that's a good question. Yes, if these are the same children that Victor's mother was trying to rescue back in her day, what exactly made Tabitha think that these children were, one, still alive, or even human at that point? So that's a good point. That is a good point. I think it's just the motherly nature in Tabitha. I think such a big part of Tabitha's identity and a big part of her character is her being a fierce mother. She tries to protect her children at any cost. We see Tabitha is a pretty fierce mother. And I think maybe it is just potentially Tabitha's kind of motherly intuition coming out, where she sees these children, instantly thinks that they're maybe in some sort of peril, and her natural instinct is just to try and help and rescue these children. I think that could maybe just be Tabitha's motherly nature coming through, and not exactly applying logic as much as applying that motherly, nurturely feeling to these children. She sees children in peril and instantly wants to help the children in peril. I think that's just the mother in her, because she is such a fierce mother. That's such a big part of her character. But I don't know. Who knows? I think the Ankui kids were sacrificed to the evil god, and their souls now roam Fromland trying to find adults to save living kids so they don't suffer the same fate. Ooh, interesting. Almost like a harbinger or a warning to try and make sure the history doesn't repeat itself again, and more children don't fall down the same path that these Ankui children fell down. That's interesting. That's interesting. That's definitely possible. They definitely seem to be some kind of spirit of some kind. Obviously, they don't seem to be alive. They don't seem to be fully alive or fully dead. They do seem to, I mean, because obviously they appear and disappear similar to the boy in white. The boy in white can kind of appear out of nowhere and disappear just as quick. These Ankui children last year, they appeared and disappeared just as fast as the boy in white did, which leads me to believe that there's some kind of spirit or entity. I do believe that there's some kind of spirit. What if the kids are manifesting something, possibly a portal or entity? That's, again, yeah, maybe these children right here, maybe they were some kind of experiment of some kind, because like you said, we do see that symbol open up right above them. The weird symbol that Jade has been plagued with. Right above them is the symbol. Now, could this have been one big weird experiment or sacrifice, for lack of a better term, in order to open some kind of portal? Was that symbol the portal, for lack of better terms? Maybe. Maybe. That's a good one. Who knows? Who knows? But again, great theories tonight, guys. I mean, I absolutely love diving into this show with all of you. You guys always come with some of the best theories, the best thoughts. I always go away from these streams hearing some kind of new theory that always keeps me thinking for the next few days. Like, honestly, for the next few days, I'll be replaying this stream in my head and thinking about all of the awesome theories that you guys have laid out tonight. And again, it challenges me as a viewer, because at some point you start to develop your own theories in your mind. And then all of a sudden you'll see, something in the chat where you guys see the same thing from a totally different perspective, and that challenges me as a viewer, because I want to try and put put myself in other people's shoes. Like maybe I'm seeing it this way where other people see something this way. And just little stuff like that is why I really, really appreciate every single one of you that shows up for all of these streams and spends your time sharing your thoughts and theories with all of us, because it really is fun. It does feel like we are kind of collectively trying to solve these mysteries together as a whole. And that, again, that is what separates the From fandom to a lot of the other fandoms that I've been a part of in the past, where it really does feel like we're genuinely all working together to try and solve this big mystery together. And it's not one of those things where, you know, one person's trying to solve it to get all the credit and one person's trying to do this to get all the credit. It genuinely seems like all of these channels and all of these chats, we're genuinely trying to solve all of these mysteries together collectively as a whole. And that's what makes From that much more special in terms of the fandom and all of the awesome mysteries that it leaves and all of the thought-provoking questions that it raises. Again, for me, I genuinely love being challenged. I love a good challenge. I love when a show makes me think and makes me work for finding those answers. And that's what From has been doing in spades up until this point. And you guys have been such a huge part of solving all of these mysteries collectively together. And I really look forward to season 3 coming around and all of us diving into these mysteries together, and hopefully between all of the fascinating minds that we have in these chats every week, we can slowly but surely start to put some of these pieces together. But again, I want to thank everybody again for joining us this evening. I know it's Friday night. The weekend is just about to start, so I am definitely going to close this one down now. I am going to go relax with some cannabis and call it an evening. I had a very long day at work, but this was the perfect way to wind down the end of my Friday, hanging out with the coolest chat in all of YouTube. So I really thank each and every one of you guys for spending some time with us and hanging out and sharing some of your thoughts and theories with all of us. I am going to, of course, we will be live tomorrow night for our same Saturday show. And I have an interesting theme for tomorrow's show, and it is going to be touching on the differences in fandoms. In particular, the difference between this From fandom and the House of the Dragon fandom. And I do have a few things that I am looking forward to talking about in regards to the differences in the two fandoms. So if you are a From or a House of the Dragon fan, definitely come back tomorrow night and hang out with us. We will be talking all things From and House of the Dragon and a few other things, I'm sure. But again, want to give a big thank you again to each and every one of you for hanging out with us. I cannot appreciate everybody spending your time. I know how precious time is. Everybody has families and friends and kids, and time is precious these days. So I really appreciate anybody taking the time to come and hang out with us for a little bit and sharing your thoughts and theories. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, come and hang out with us. And as always, keep those tinfoil hats on. Do not be afraid to dive into that rabbit hole. And as always, stay awesome and be kind to each other. And we will see you on the next one. And of course, if you have not joined the Discord, Kiwi was just kind enough to drop the Discord link. If you haven't, hop on in there into the Jeremy Ice and Fire Fromville Discord, where we can stay in touch throughout the week. And we're always in there talking From, House of the Dragon, and all of the other shows that we cover here on the channel. So until next time, again, keep those tinfoil hats on, folks. Dive into that rabbit hole and stay wonderful.
You said this place couldn't break you. That's what she said. Let's see.
You're so strong. You're so strong. Just no. I know. It's all just a dream.
What if all this was designed just to see how we react?
What if this place is trying to torture me?
But what if the people these monsters are killing, what if they're all in on it?
What if this is all some kind of fucked up experiment?
What if the answers are out there, maybe we just didn't go out far enough?